This young man is a surgical intern with outstanding academic achievements, professional knowledge, and skills comparable to those of seasoned doctors, and he also possesses an extraordinary eye for detecting foreign objects in patients' bodies. He was due to graduate in just 2 months and was offered a permanent position at the hospital, but instead, he decided to interview for a residency position at a prison to treat criminals. What was the reason behind this? Well, let's talk about his past. 15 years ago, Surgeon Kang Inku lived with his father and a younger sister who suffered from a bile duct obstruction in her liver. To pay for his daughter's treatment, his father decided to leave home to earn money. Unfortunately, that very night, Inku's sister suddenly fell ill. Inku carried her on his back to find a hospital, and after a long time, they finally found one that was open, but they were chased away because they had no money. As a result, Inku's sister tragically passed away. Because of this, he decided he had to become a surgeon to help those in need, and prisons were one of them. This place is where people from the bottom of society gather, despised and hated simply because they bear the label of criminals. Now, Inku is applying for an interview with an outstanding record. The head of the prison's medical department is suspicious. Why would someone like Inku be here? He recounts his story, but the head of the department can't believe it. He thinks Inku has relatives or enemies in prison, but Inku calmly replies no. In contrast to the head of the department, the 2 guards are extremely pleased with Inku. They want to keep him as an internal medicine doctor. The head of the department asked Inku to leave so he could discuss something with the 2 guards. Meanwhile, a fight broke out in the prison. Prisoner number 4713, Kim Hyam-Bom, suddenly went berserk. He broke a window, grabbed a piece of glass, and went to the bathroom looking for another prisoner. "Do you recognize me?" Hyam-Bom yelled, pulling up his shirt to reveal his wounds. "I've been waiting here for the prisoner to appear so I can take revenge." The terrified prisoner called out to the guard, Hyam-Bom, who covered his mouth and stabbed him. Only then did the prisoner confess. A hired killer, Hyam-Bum, only needed the prisoner to comply. If the prisoner didn't, he would be the one to die. Hyam-Bum, enraged, stabbed the prisoner again. Just then, the guard arrived to save the situation. The prisoner was being taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. Inku, who happened to be passing by, immediately assessed the situation. The prisoner had a ruptured aorta. The nearest hospital would take an hour to reach him. He couldn't endure that much longer. The guard tried to remove the glass shard, but Inku quickly stopped him. If he removed it, the prisoner would die instantly. The only way out was, now it was time for open abdominal surgery. Everyone looked at the head of the department, but he was an internal medicine doctor who had never faced such a situation before. At this moment, the guard remembered Inku, a surgeon, and begged Inku to save the prisoner. He asked someone to help him prepare some things for the surgery right there. The head of the department disagreed, saying, "What if something goes wrong? Who will be responsible?" Inku retorted, "If you don't perform the surgery and the patient dies, will you take responsibility?" There was no chance to save the patient's life, even if it was just a 1-minute chance. The prison guard tried to persuade the head of department, BCH, not to hesitate. INQ had one last question. Would he be accepted as an internal medicine doctor? The head of department, BCH, had no choice but to agree. Then everyone went into the hastily prepared operating room. Inku was the surgeon, while the others assisted. Inku opened the prisoner's abdomen, and with the help of a nurse, he removed the broken glass shards. He directly poked his finger into the wound, then boldly opened the abdomen and used a surgical procedure. The patient's BP showed signs of decreasing. Inku hurriedly finished the stitches to prepare for defibrillation. The head of Department B wanted to do it himself, as Inku's hands were covered in blood. However, defibrillation was ineffective. Inku seemed to understand something. He turned to ask the guard if the prisoner had any other wounds. The guard was also confused, not knowing. Inku had to check himself. He discovered another wound next to the recent incision. Moreover, it had torn the liver. Using his keen eyesight, Inku spotted a piece of broken glass lodged in the liver. He immediately used forceps to remove it. The owner of the wound gradually regained consciousness. After his safe arrival at the hospital by ambulance, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, only able to thank Inku. Thanks to this, Inku was officially accepted as the next patient, Hyam-Bom. He had cut his hand from holding a sharp piece of glass. After examining the wound, Inku thought it was nothing serious. He asked the nurse for medical supplies and sat down to inquire about Hyam Buom's condition. At that moment, Hyam Buom found Inku familiar, but he couldn't remember who he was. Inku pretended not to know him, but in reality, his purpose in being here was partly related to something else. Hyam Buom arrived because he was the one who murdered Inku's father 5 years ago. He desperately wanted revenge. 15 years ago, after his sister's death, Inku heard that his father had been arrested. He immediately rushed to the crime scene and encountered the police arresting Hyam Buom. He was a professional currency trader who had taken everything from Inku's father's body. The police angrily asked Hyam Buom if Inku's father had been targeted. Hyam Buom denied it, saying that because Inku's father had a rare blood type, everything in his body could be sold for a high price. The police then brought Hyam Buom to the police station. Back at the police station, Inku was furious. He rushed to attack Hyam Buom, then picked up a stone and threw it at his head. "Give my father back." The police quickly pulled Inku away. Unexpectedly, Hyam Buom picked up the stone and smashed it hard against Inku's head. "How dare you hit me, you little brat!" Inku's brain was shaken, and he fainted. In a daze, Inku felt his eyes become sharper, and Hyam Buom's evil smile became clear. Returning to reality, Inu stitched up the wound and prescribed some medicine for Hyam Buom. He was then taken back to prison by the guards. Inku secretly thought, hopefully, those prescriptions, the medicine will gradually erode Hyam Buom's life force, making him feel the pain slowly. At this moment, the prisoner is brought to the hospital. The director of the Organ Transplant Center, Dr. Go Dong-hun, personally receives and treats him. He doesn't discriminate against this man. He treats everyone equally, even though he's a prisoner. In another room in the hospital, a member of parliament is also having problems. Although there are many doctors there, the representative's wife insists on specifically calling Dr. Go to treat him. The vice director immediately calls, but Dr. Go leaves the nurse to handle it. He only focuses on the patient at hand. The deputy director, feeling helpless, heard that Dr. Go was performing surgery. The director introduced the deputy director's son, Dr. Lai, to the representative's wife, who was also a very talented doctor. The representative's wife immediately turned the car around, placing all her hopes on Dr. Lai. Dr. Lai then proceeded with the surgery and completed it in just half an hour. The representative received a blood transfusion. Dr. Lai informed the director of the representative's condition. The representative had liver failure due to drug abuse, which had led to weakened heart and lung function and required replacement if possible, as the hospital did not have any available at the moment. The delegate's lung transplant score was low, making him ineligible for priority consideration. The director suggested falsifying the lung transplant score to put the delegate on the priority list for transplantation. Dr. Lai was about to object, but the deputy director interrupted him, saying he would follow the director's orders. Later, Dr. Lai and his father entered the room and began arguing. Dr. Lai disagreed with his father's approach, saying there were many people waiting in line for transplants. The deputy director ignored him, saying priority was only for those in power. On this side, Dr. Go checked. The incision on the prisoner recognized that the knot resembled the boy who had shared a house with him 15 years earlier. A nurse also mentioned that the surgeon who operated on the prisoner had exceptionally sharp eyesight. Dr. Go immediately confirmed that it was Inu. After the trauma 15 years ago, Inu's brain developed a special reflex that medicine still cannot explain, making his eyesight sharper than normal. Perhaps this was God's compensation for Inu's suffering the pain of losing both his father and sister at the same time. Returning to reality, Dr. Go proceeded to stitch up the patient's liver. After finishing the procedure, he did a preliminary check and discovered that the heart was pumping blood very weakly. Dr. Go suggested putting the patient on a special list so the hospital could easily monitor the situation and see if any transplant was needed. A doctor, doubtful, asked if a transplant for a prisoner was necessary. Dr. Go immediately became stern, saying that prisoners are also human beings. After giving instructions, Dr. Go went out to call a friend to inquire about Inku's situation. Hearing that he had just been transferred to another prison, the doctor returned to his room and finally understood the reason why Inku decided to go there to work that evening. Returning home, he was surprised to find that Inku had been planning his revenge for a long time. Inku's target wasn't just Hyam Buom, but the entire drug trafficking ring behind him, which included many doctors and politicians. To expose them, Inku would start with Hyam Buom. The medicine he prescribed for Hyam Buom would cause liver infection within 4 days. Inku calculated the timing precisely to ensure the plan went according to schedule. The next day, Inku returned to the prison to work. Despite having only met Hyam Boom the day before, he acted friendly towards Inku. He was about to raise his hand to greet them when the head of Department B stopped him. He was not as friendly as he appeared. He was a person suffering from antisocial personality disorder. The head of department advised Inku to be careful and then led him back to his office. At that moment, the internal medicine clinic unexpectedly received a call from the hospital. A prisoner from Prison X had just died of a brain injury. Before the death, the prisoner had registered on a list of organ donors for the hospital. The prison doctors would be going there to complete the transfer procedures. Beck wanted to bring Inku along so he could have a chance to learn. Inku met Dr. Go, the surgeon for this case. Dr. Go was accompanied by his daughter, Go Jin, who is the coordinator of the internal medicine transplant department. Dr. Go wanted Inku's assistance with the surgery because most of the other surgeons were busy. Inku directly refused, and everyone around didn't understand what was happening. Dr. Go said he had something important to discuss with Inku, so Inku followed him into the operating room. Inside, Dr. Go began the surgery, performing it while simultaneously. When asked why he came to the prison, if it was because of him Boom, Inku didn't deny it. He said he wanted revenge. The onlookers outside wondered about Inku's attitude towards Dr. Go, as if there was some kind of conflict from the past. 15 years ago, after Inku's younger sister died, Dr. Go, under the guise of being her adoptive father, registered to donate all of her organs. Because of this, Inku was extremely angry and refused to even look at Dr. Go. Returning to reality, Inku told Dr. Go that 15 years ago he didn't know the reason, but now he has experience. Rich in medical knowledge, Inku also understood why Dr. Go Hien donated his sister's organs because Inku's family had a rare bloodline. He wanted revenge for the crimes Hyam Boom committed against his father, and he could not forgive the man who took all of his sister's organs. Inku's purpose in becoming a doctor was not to save people, but to kill them. Dr. Go was angry, and Inku said that he was unworthy of being a doctor. If he wanted revenge, Dr. Go gave him a chance. He told Inku to give him the scalpel. Inku took the scalpel, looked at Dr. Go with hatred in his eyes, and placed it down. Inku held the knife to Dr. Go's hand but refused to let go. Inku suspected that his father and sister were both part of a currency trading ring, and that Dr. Go was also involved. Dr. Go coldly replied, "Don't speculate any further, give it back so I can perform the surgery." Suddenly, a nurse ran in, and Inku finally let go. The nurse informed Dr. Go that a patient with a brain injury had registered to donate currency. He said he would complete the surgery here and then go to receive the patient. After the surgery was finished, Dr. Go reminded Inku too. Remembering his purpose in becoming a doctor, his father and sister certainly wouldn't want to see Inku go astray because of revenge. After saying that, Dr. Go left. Inku stood silently, reflecting on 15 years ago when he and his sister went to the hospital, but the doctor wouldn't let them in because they had no money. Luckily, Dr. Go happened to pass by and wanted to take Inku's sister in for emergency treatment, offering to pay the expenses himself. After confirming his sister was safe, Inku went outside in the rain to wait. Seeing this, Dr. Go approached and inquired about her well-being. He accidentally discovered that Inku's leg was also injured. He wanted to help Inku check the wound, but Inku was afraid of having to pay more hospital fees. Dr. Go said he would take care of everything and wanted to adopt the two brothers. Inku agreed to let Dr. Go stitch up his wounds. At that time, Inku had a question: how to become a good doctor like him. The doctor encouraged him, saying, "Just have faith, and you will be a good doctor." Early the next morning, a local currency broker came to the prison looking for the prisoner he had stabbed the day before. He regretted not stabbing him a few more times, but he didn't deny that the doctor had treated the prisoner. "Very skilled," he mentioned Inu. "Hyam Bum," he whispered to the broker. "Inu is a new doctor at the prison. We can use him for our plan." The broker nodded in agreement. Later, Hung Boom came to see Inu for a follow-up examination, intending to probe him. Hung Boom mentioned the name of the prisoner Inku had saved before. He asked Inku if he noticed anything strange about the stab wound. Inku coldly replied, "That was a stab wound inflicted by someone with medical knowledge. The first cut straight into the liver. The second severed the aorta. If the prisoner hadn't been treated by a highly skilled doctor, he would have been dead long ago." Inu praised Inu, but he didn't hesitate to reveal his crimes. Hyam Boom was a currency trader who could pinpoint the exact location of the currency within a person's body. Inu was no stranger to this. However, Hyam Boam revealed another piece of information. The stabbed prisoner was actually the one who surgically removed the organs. This greatly surprised Inu. After being taken away, Inu went to see the nurse to ask for the prisoner's file to investigate new clues in the currency trading ring. Meanwhile, Head of Department B recalled Inu's strange behavior. When meeting with the doctor, Mr. Quiet decided to investigate Inku, the head of Department B. He obtained a list of family members. Unexpectedly, a female nurse brought documents for the head of Department B's signature. He noticed an unusual increase in the amount of medication entering the prison. He asked the nurse to retrieve the medical records of the prisoners. Among them, the head of Department B noticed Hyungboom's record, which showed that the medication he was using was not the correct dosage. Knowing that Inku had prescribed this medication, the head of Department B signed the documents for the nurse to leave. Afterwards, he accessed the prison's database to investigate and discovered that Hyungboom had committed murder. The robbery of local currency, with Inku's father as the main victim, finally led head of Department B to understand why Inku insisted on working at the prison. At this moment, Dr. Go was preparing to perform a transplant surgery. The organ he had just obtained was for a prisoner stabbed in prison. Suddenly, he received a call from the director. Dr. Go was summoned to a private meeting room. There, the director requested that Dr. Go bring the organ he had just obtained for the transplant to the representative, but Dr. Go insisted on following the procedure set by the director. The question was whether saving a representative could contribute to society or saving the criminal's choice to commit another crime must be decided based on human values. The director told Dr. Go that this wasn't a suggestion, but an order. Dr. Go went to his room to think. Suddenly, Inku burst through the door. He had investigated and discovered that the prisoner he had saved was an accomplice in the murder of Hyungboom's father. Inku questioned Dr. Go, "Did you know about Hyungboom's accomplice?" Dr. Go denied it when the prisoner was arrested. Inku was studying for his university entrance exams. Dr. Go replied, "If I knew, it would affect my studies." Inku regretted using his hands to save the prisoner. His father demanded that Dr. Go absolutely save the prisoner so that Inku could avenge his father. Dr. Go was extremely conflicted, and Inku left. Later, Dr. Go performed a kidney transplant surgery on the prisoner. He remembered the director's words, and after a moment of hesitation, he decided to follow his conscience. The surgery went very smoothly. However, after this incident, Dr. Go was summoned to the disciplinary committee. The vice director angrily reprimanded him, asking why he saved a prisoner instead of a high-ranking official. If this incident were to leak out, what would become of the hospital's reputation? Fortunately, the representative found a relative who agreed to donate. Otherwise, Dr. Go would hardly be able to bear the full responsibility. He could only silently endure the insults. However, some doctors still believe that the disciplinary action is unfair to Dr. Go. He was only following the correct procedure. Every life is equally valuable, and there should be no class discrimination in the hospital. The vice director expressed even more outrage. If anyone wants to defend Dr. Go, let's stand together. A vote was held to decide whether or not to discipline Dr. Go. Everyone agreed with this opinion. Meanwhile, Dr. Lai was performing surgery on a delegate in front of many witnesses. The initial process went quite smoothly. However, at the step of connecting the internal organs, Dr. Lai suddenly lost his composure. Everyone was extremely worried. Someone suggested calling Dr. Go, but Dr. Lai stopped them. He pretended to be fine and continued the surgery. However, with trembling hands, Dr. Lai accidentally cut the aorta, causing blood to gush out. Everyone panicked. In a panic, Dr. Lai covered the wound, frozen in place by the critical situation. A quick-thinking nurse ran to find Dr. Go in the room. Everyone was waiting for the voting results when suddenly the nurse burst in, requesting Dr. Go's assistance with the surgery. The delegate was about to have a cardiac arrest. Dr. Go immediately went to the operating room, sutured the aorta, and restored the delegate's heartbeat to normal. The organ transplant surgery continued. Dr. Go performed the steps swiftly and efficiently, saving the delegate's life at the last minute, leaving everyone stunned. Both were astonished, as if witnessing a miracle, but Dr. Go wanted to meet with Dr. Lai privately to point out his mistake. Dr. Go noticed that Dr. Lai's hands were still trembling. If he lacked confidence when entering surgery, he would turn into a murderer. Today, Dr. Lai nearly killed both the patient and the donor. Dr. Lai didn't deny his mistake, but everything had a deeper cause. It turned out that while protecting a female colleague, Dr. Lai had his tendons severed by a man, resulting in permanent disability. The occasional trembling in his arm hindered his path to becoming a skilled doctor. At this moment, Inku was summoned by the head of the BCH department, who revealed his discovery that Inku's purpose in working at the prison was revenge. The head of the BCH department demanded that Inku pack his bags and leave immediately. Inku didn't deny it. However, he also knew the secret of the head of the BCH department. He worked at the prison to care for prisoner 4817, and that prisoner was the head of the BCH department's son. The head of the BCH department became agitated. Inku promised not to reveal the secret and also not to kill. In prison, the butterfly was the opposite. He even wanted to save him. The head of department, Beck, reassured him, saying, "Just stay quiet and let today's events go." Beck had no choice but to compromise. Later, JN arrived at the prison. There was an old prisoner who wanted to donate his body to the hospital after he passed away. However, the old man's internal organs were of little use. Only his eyes were valuable. The old prisoner silently sighed, hoping his eyes would stay and see the outside world. Suddenly, Inku appeared and stopped him. What if his family doesn't agree? JN immediately explained. He liked that it was still not too late to cancel the registration form. The fake prisoner argued that his life in prison had already been a burden to his family. If he could do something useful before his death, his descendants would be proud. After all, donating was better than letting his body turn to dust. The fake prisoner's family was also about to visit, and he would ask for their opinion again. The fake prisoner wanted to show Inku a picture of his family. They really looked very happy. After getting out, Inku met Jin again. She questioned Inku, asking why he interfered in other people's decisions because Inku had also been in that situation. Before he even agreed, his sister's body had already been taken away for donation. Jin understood Inku's feelings and felt extremely guilty. She then decided to find Jin to apologize. Seeing him walking home, Jin gave Inku too much credit, wanting to take this opportunity to learn more about him. On their way home, a car swerved erratically, accidentally causing an accident that triggered a chain reaction, affecting other cars on that stretch of road, including Inku and Jin's. Luckily, they were unharmed. They got out of the car to help the victims, including a family with a child. The terrified girl screamed, "Help! My parents! My mother is pregnant. My father, who was driving, is also unconscious." Inku recognized the family from the photo the fake prisoner had shown him. Inku helped the woman out of the car and assessed her condition. He also grabbed medical supplies to help the accident victims. Luckily, an ambulance arrived in time. Inku borrowed the equipment to re-examine the pregnant woman, noticing her heartbeat was weak but not due to pneumothorax. Inku discovered a swollen carotid artery and suspected it was a puncture. He immediately requested that the woman be taken to the hospital. The woman got into the ambulance. INQ wanted to perform a pericardiocentesis on her, but the medical staff disagreed. They were instructed to take the accident victim to the hospital, but without immediate first aid, the woman would die before reaching the hospital. Her blood pressure was continuously dropping, and the situation was critical. Jayan took out his doctor's card and promised to take responsibility for his actions. The medical staff reluctantly agreed to let them get into the ambulance. In the ambulance, Jayan called the hospital to request the preparation of an emergency operating room. INQ then proceeded to perform the pericardiocentesis on the woman. With her special eyes, INQ successfully administered first aid. The woman's blood pressure began to rise again, and the baby in her womb was also unharmed. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Afterward, they took the woman to the hospital. INQ rushed to the obstetrics department, requesting help. There was only one doctor who could assist, a female obstetrician. Upon seeing INQ's heart suddenly raced. Although they were complete strangers and she didn't know the reason, she ignored that and had to deal with the immediate situation. Following INQ to the patient, the woman was in a stable condition. The entire 32-week-old fetus was fine, but suddenly the patient's blood pressure dropped and there was significant bleeding in the lower abdomen. I quickly injected her with medication and performed CPR. However, her condition did not improve, so I requested an emergency C-section. I immediately called Dr. Go. There was a case requiring surgery. Dr. Go rushed to the obstetrics department, and the hospital director saw him, following him. Seeing what Dr. Go intended to do, the director was surprised. as he wasn't a doctor from the hospital. Dr. Go angrily ordered the hospital director out. The director, enraged, called security and dragged Inku out. Only then did Inku, indignant, speak up. Silence. Let them save the patient. It turned out that Don Hai was the director's daughter. Later, the operating room was prepared, and Dr. Go asked Don Hai to be the lead surgeon. She had never performed a cesarean section before. Inku and everyone encouraged Don Hai, and she decided to challenge herself. Surprisingly, she did very well. During the surgery, Inku's eyes accidentally caught sight of the patient's paraplegic artery being torn. He directly removed it. Go suggested that Don Hai act quickly after the cesarean section, as the woman still needed another surgery. Any delay would be unbearable for her body. Don Hai understood and quickly completed the cesarean section. The baby cried its first cry, but everyone couldn't rejoice yet. The woman's blood pressure remained unchanged. The doctors quickly performed another surgery. The woman's liver was severely damaged due to the accident and needed to be removed. Inku, in coordination with Dr. Go, rushed to complete the surgery. Inku did not need to wear any support equipment. Everyone's eyes widened in surprise. Dr. Go explained that Inku possessed extraordinary eyes, known as the eagle eyes of the medical field. Hearing this, most were impressed. With Inku here, what was there to fear? The failed surgery was indeed a success, but the double surgery was unexpectedly successful, ensuring both mother and child were safe. Upon receiving the news, the hospital director was extremely disappointed. It turned out he had been hoping the woman would receive an organ transplant. Now, they would have to find another way. The hospital spokesperson suggested that the representative still had a son who could be saved. He unexpectedly donated a liver. The delegate's wife went to the hospital director and, without hesitation, repeated the spokesperson's suggestion. The delegate's wife was angry. She disagreed with her son losing a liver. The delegate's wife pressured the director to do everything possible to bring a liver back, threatening to send inspectors to scrutinize the hospital's operations if he didn't comply. The director, undeterred, was also concerned because the delegate had embezzled a considerable amount of money from the hospital. The two, initially allies, turned against each other. The delegate's wife angrily left. However, she later changed her mind and brought her son back to the hospital to donate the liver. The son was trying to save his father because without the representative, this family would have nothing left. The son used the excuse of being afraid of needles and didn't dare have surgery. The representative's wife exposed him. His father was about to die, and instead of worrying, he went and tattooed the name of his new girlfriend, whom he'd only known for a month. Was he afraid of needles? The representative's wife beat her unfilial son. Meanwhile, the broker, whom Inku had met before, came to his house wanting to investigate him. The broker broke the lock and entered the house, finding a promissory note Inku had placed on the table along with a photo of him and his sister. However, this was something Inku had arranged. He knew someone was coming to visit, so they moved Dad's photo to another place. The investigation list about the organ trafficking ring in the wardrobe was also no longer in its usual place. Conversely, the broker who broke into the house was caught on camera. After leaving the house, Inku went to see Hung Buom and told him everything he had discovered. Hearing that Inku had a debt, Hung Buom wanted to take advantage of this, trying to lure Inku into being their trump card in their plan. The broker nodded in agreement. At this time, Jae-in went to see the husband of the pregnant woman to inform him of the situation of the mother and child. Although the woman was out of critical condition, she still needed a liver transplant because her remaining liver was also severely damaged. The husband immediately pointed to his body and offered to donate his liver to his wife. However, the husband's liver had a high somatic index, so he couldn't donate it. The husband looked helpless. Jae-in asked if his wife had any other relatives. The husband honestly replied, her only remaining relative is her father, who is in prison. Jae-in realized that the person he was referring to was the elderly prisoner who had registered. Regarding organ donation, she called Inku to ask for his help in arranging it, but he disagreed. Only when Jae-in explained that the elderly prisoner was the only one who could save the woman did Inku change his mind. He called to persuade the head of the BCH department, but the head argued that organ donation was outside Inku's purview. Inku put the head of the BCH department in a situation where his son was in a similar predicament, and only the head of the BCH department could save him. Inku asked what he would do. The head of the BCH department didn't care, saying it would never happen, and hung up. Inku decided to take a taxi to the prison to persuade them in person. The head of Department B, on the other side, requested that Hung Boom be brought in for examination. He gave Hung Boom a suggestion. Why was Inku approaching him? Hung Boom didn't understand what was happening. Department B told him that the medicine Inku prescribed would harm Hung Boom's liver. He was extremely angry. Later, Hung Boom was taken back to prison. Just then, Inku arrived. Seeing Hung Boom's strange expression, Inku immediately ran in to question Department BCH. What did you tell Hung Boom? Department BCH lied. He only examined Hung Boom. Inku changed the subject. Why not let the prisoner pretend to donate his liver to his daughter? If she doesn't get a liver transplant, she'll definitely die. The head of department remained indifferent. It didn't affect him. Everyone has their own things to do. The head of department advised Inku to remember his ideals. He must take revenge on the villain. Inku was extremely angry. Hung Boom would surely pay the price, but the woman did nothing wrong. She didn't need to die. The head of department sneered. No one in this world is without mistakes. Inku played on the head of department psychology. Like that woman, the husband will have to raise 2 children as a single father. The head of department certainly understands how difficult that is. The head of department remembers his son, who, without a mother's guidance, went astray and ended up in prison. Finally, the head of department had an epiphany and agreed to let the elderly prisoner donate organs to save his daughter, but it had to follow the correct procedure. First, they had to obtain permission from the Ministry of Justice for the elderly prisoner to be released, and they also had to obtain a certificate from the doctor in charge of the surgery. The man's family called Dr. Go, asking him to write a letter to the Ministry of Justice requesting that the fake prisoner be released on bail to donate his liver to save his daughter. Dr. Go was happy, partly because he had the opportunity to save the patient and partly because he had Inku's phone number, which he saved as his son's. The next day, the letter was sent to the Ministry of Justice, and thanks to that, the fake prisoner was escorted to the hospital by the guards to donate his organ to save his daughter. In the car, he was moved and thanked Inku for letting him hear about all his efforts. Inku also encouraged the old prisoner, saying that it wasn't just his efforts that mattered. It was only because he still wanted to save his daughter that they had to go this far. Inku remembered her father 15 years ago. He had also called everywhere for help to save his daughter, finally deciding to sell his local currency to pay for hospital fees. Her father even set aside a small amount of money to buy Inku a pair of shoes, making Inku incredibly happy, but looking at her father's shoes, they were also worn out. Her father always sacrificed everything for her. Back to reality, the prison van had arrived at the hospital. Jae-in came to meet Inku and the old prisoner. She didn't like Inku's arrogant attitude, but she appreciated his efforts. Forced to acknowledge Jae-in, he led everyone into the hospital before the surgery. Jae-in explained the procedure to the elderly prisoner. The doctor would take a small portion of his liver and transplant it into the patient's body. The elderly prisoner wanted to donate his entire liver. Jae-in explained that only a small part would be needed, and after 6 months, the liver would be completely regenerated. The hospital had to ensure that both the patient and the donor could live normal lives. Afterwards, the elderly prisoner was taken to the waiting room. His son-in-law wanted to bring his granddaughter to visit, but he refused. Jae-in and Inku went in to ask the reason, and it turned out the fake prisoner was afraid his granddaughter would find out he was a criminal. Inku signaled to the guards to unlock the handcuffs for the fake prisoner. His son-in-law and granddaughter came to visit him. The fake prisoner was extremely moved because it was the first time he had met his granddaughter. After hearing her father-in-law introduce her, the little girl realized he was her grandfather and ran to hug him. The old prisoner was so moved that he almost revealed the handcuffs on his feet. Inu quickly used his foot to cover them so that the touching reunion of grandfather and granddaughter would not be interrupted. Later, Inku went down to the counter to buy coffee and coincidentally met Du-hai again. She wanted to take Inku to visit a life that had been saved. He saved the woman's child and witnessed her healthy baby. Inu was secretly happy. Dee-hee turned to thank Inu, saying that it was thanks to him that she had the courage to perform the surgery. Dee-hee wanted to shake hands and be friends, but unexpectedly, someone as cold as Inu agreed. Unexpectedly, Inu received a call from Jae-in, who asked him to come to the meeting room because the fake prisoner had mistakenly entered the wrong blood type, causing a slight problem with the surgery. Inku immediately went to the meeting room. Dr. Go invited him to sit down and informed him that the fake prisoner's organ had been rejected. Inku wondered if that meant the patient would have to wait until a new liver was available. Since she was in critical condition and couldn't wait any longer, Dr. Go found a new method: organ donation. This required 4 surgeons, 2 for organ removal and 2 for organ transplantation. However, the hospital only had 3 surgeons. Dr. Go suggested inviting Inku to participate in saving her, but unexpectedly, he directly refused, surprising everyone. Meanwhile, the wife of a representative informed the hospital director that she had persuaded her son to donate organs. After examination, the director assessed that the liver was suitable. The representative's son's liver was deemed unsuitable for him. Therefore, the director proposed that the representative and his son undergo an organ donation surgery to exchange it for the fake prisoner's liver and his daughter. The representative's wife expressed disdain, saying that a prisoner's liver was unworthy of being placed in the representative's body, and furthermore, she didn't want to give her son's liver to someone else. However, if the surgery wasn't performed, the representative would have to wait a long time to find a suitable liver. The representative's wife then changed her mind, wanting to take the fake prisoner's liver instead of her son's in exchange. The director refused to do so, threatening to kill the fake father and son prisoners. If the representative's wife didn't agree to the organ donation, the director would give the opportunity to someone else. The representative's wife then threatened him with her authority. But the director didn't back down. She had to compromise. At this point, Inku returned to the prison to work. The hospital sent paperwork requesting Inku's assistance in the upcoming organ donation surgery. However, Inku continued to refuse. When the guards wanted to know the reason, Inku said he was the prison doctor, not a doctor from the hospital, but actively advising the head of Department B. Inku finally reconsidered. Later, the head of Department B went outside with Inku to talk privately. The head of Department B mocked him, saying, "A doctor who wants to kill people is now being asked to save them? This story is ridiculous." Inku's expression remained unchanged. He had his own calculations. After returning to his office, Inku discovered Hung Buom had come to see him. The head of Department B teased Inku, saying, "HMH, Hung Buom is quite close, isn't he?" Inku maintained his cold expression and went into his room. Hyam Buom was examined by Inu, who told Inu about his condition since taking the prescription from the head of Department B. Hyam Buom had been feeling nauseous, urinating infrequently, and experiencing occasional body aches. Inu examined Hyam Buom and discovered yellow pigmentation in his eyes, dry and pale skin, signs of hepatitis and acute kidney failure. Inu's prescription had taken effect. However, Hyam Buom was completely unaware. He still blamed the prescription from Department B. Inu didn't hesitate to tell the truth. It was a side effect of the medication he prescribed for Hyam Buom. Inu lied to Hung Buom saw that sign indicating his body was recovering. Hung Buom, completely unaware, still believed him and smiled brightly at Inku to repay his help. Hung Buom wanted to tell Inku a secret. The head of Department BCH came to work at the prison because of his son. Inku had known this for a long time, but to protect the head of Department B, he denied Hung Buom's words, still appearing extremely certain. Incidentally, Hung Buom had a question. Why did Inku come here to work? It was to earn money. Inku's forced answer left Hung Buom in disbelief. How much money could one earn at a prison? In response to Hung Buom's question, Inku replied that it's true that you can't earn much money in prison. On the contrary, Inku has a lot of free time and can work part-time to earn money from mafia members who encounter problems while committing illegal acts. They don't dare go to the hospital for treatment and secretly call outside doctors. In other words, Inku is the doctor of the underworld. Hung Buom expressed surprise, saying that Inku would get arrested for doing that. But if you only ever earn money honestly and cling to one position, when will you ever get rich? Inku said, fear of breaking the law, fear of not having money. Actually, Inku's words to Hung Buom were meant to lure him into a trap, and unexpectedly, Hung Buom actually fell for it. He wanted to introduce Inku to a part-time job that could provide enough to live on for a lifetime. Inku caught a glimpse of the currency smuggling organization and immediately compromised with Hyam Buom. He pretended to prescribe medicine for Hyam Buom to reveal the method for them to exchange information later. After Hung Buom left, Inku sat down to analyze the clues and knew the two were involved in the currency smuggling ring. The stabbing of the prisoner, along with the opportunity created by the stabbing, raises a big question. Who is the leader of that organization? Suddenly, a nurse enters. Inku hastily crumples a piece of paper. The nurse announces that the hospital has called again. requesting confirmation of a letter inviting him to assist in an organ transplant. Inku asks the nurse to write him a letter of refusal, but he remains steadfast. Meanwhile, the son of a representative, upon hearing that he will have to donate his liver to someone else in exchange for his father's, becomes agitated and tries to leave the hospital. The representative's wife told her son that this was the only way to save him, but he still wouldn't listen. The representative's wife gave her son a choice. If he stepped out of this door, he would lose all his rights and all his assets would be confiscated. The son, afraid of being left penniless, didn't dare take another step. At this moment, the broker came to visit. He asked the broker how the plan was progressing. The broker shook his head helplessly. Hyung Boom gave the broker a suggestion. Inku had agreed to participate in the plan. The broker was afraid Inku would ruin everything. The broker was certain Inku was a good doctor, so he decided to start with simple cases. Only after he became proficient could he meet VIP clients. That evening, Inku left prison and returned home to find many missed calls on his phone. As soon as he picked up the phone, he received another call from Dr. Go. He answered to see what Dr. Go wanted to say. Dr. Go asked why Inku refused surgery. Inku felt he had explained clearly during the meeting. Dr. Go mentioned the fake prisoner, saying that he was the one who had initially pleaded for Inku to be the surgeon, because the old prisoner only trusted him. Inku heard this and began to feel uneasy. He asked about the time of the organ transplant surgery, which he said would start tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Just as Inku hung up, he unexpectedly received another call from an unknown number. The person on the other end claimed to have been introduced by Hyung Boom. Inku had been waiting for this person for a long time. They arranged to meet later. Inku went to meet the broker, who told him what needed to be done. The broker gave Inku a phone to use for communication and also the donor's file. Inku only needed to take a kidney from that person. He had a question: who will be the doctor for the transplant? The client will handle that themselves. They just need to cut the kidney and deliver it on time, Inku asked. He asked for the specific time, 6 p.m. tomorrow. Inku remembered he had a transplant surgery appointment at 7:30 p.m. Inku wanted to postpone the plan, but the broker immediately snatched the item back. Then let someone else do it, Inku pleaded. I'll follow the plan. The broker texted Inku the location via the phone he had just received. The next day, Inku emailed the police reporting an illegal organ trafficking case. He wanted the police to arrest the criminals. Then Inku prepared a GPS tracker attached to a medical device so the police could locate and catch the currency smuggling ring red-handed while they were committing their crime. At the appointed time, the broker arrived to pick Inku up, and they both went to the designated location, an abandoned hospital where a fat man was waiting. Inku was bewildered. Could organ donation surgery be performed in such a dilapidated place? The broker told Inku to follow him, saying he would find out. He led Inku to a room and gave him a doctor's coat. The broker asked Inku to put down his bag, but Inku refused to cooperate and didn't want to stay. The man, acting as a temporary bodyguard, immediately subdued Inku. Inku struggled, causing his phone to fall. The broker then electrocuted Inku, rendering him unconscious. The broker searched Inku's bag and discovered a GPS tracker embedded in a medical device. Realizing he'd been tricked, he immediately left the abandoned hospital. Along the way, the broker threw away the tracker. By the time the police found it, they could only sigh, relieved that the criminal had escaped. Meanwhile, the broker led Inku to a hillside where an ambulance was waiting. When Inku woke up, he found himself in a completely different place. A stranger, a broker, introduced him. This is an outdoor operating room. The patient is in an ambulance. Inku needs to undergo his surgery. Before that, the broker questioned why Inku was carrying a GPS tracker. Inku lied to the broker, saying it was because he was afraid of the surgeons. The broker chuckled reluctantly. He let Inku into the ambulance for the surgery to remove the weight. The broker also followed to supervise. Inside the ambulance was a young girl in a coma. The broker prepared a camera to record the weight removal process to send to the buyer for confirmation. He also stated that if Inku betrayed him, he would be held accountable. The witness reported that while the broker was giving a speech, Inku secretly hid a can of painkiller spray. Once everything was ready, he began the surgery. Inku asked the broker for the scalpel, but as soon as the broker turned around, Inku sprayed the painkiller into his eyes. Then, he removed the CO2 gas cylinder and continued to pressure the broker until he was unable to resist. Only then did Inku carry the girl away. Outside, the fat man, seeing the commotion, approached the car to investigate. Inku kicked the car door in his face, carrying the girl, and fled into the mountains. The broker lost his glasses. Unable to see the way, he angrily shouted at the fat man to chase after Inku, carrying the little girl along the mountain trail. He ran to the road and risked standing in front of a truck. Luckily, the driver braked in time. Seeing the girl's critical condition, the driver agreed to give Inku a ride. He wanted to get to the hospital immediately. Meanwhile, the hospital was setting up an operating room for the organ donation surgery. After the discussion, the doctor took the patient and the organ donor into the room. The wife of the representative, worried about her son, cried loudly and promised to give him everything in the operating room. The old prisoner said, "Everything will be all right soon." He wants to see his daughter because he's afraid he won't have another chance later. The old prisoner promised, "You'll definitely be able to see your daughter again." Now, they're preparing for surgery, so they can't see the prisoner. He's been given anesthesia, and then they'll proceed with the removal of the weights. However, Inku still hasn't arrived. Jin called many times but got no answer. Dr. Go called too, but no one answered because his phone was lost at the abandoned hospital. Dr. Lai suggested asking a doctor from another hospital for help. However, everyone was busy. Dr. Go received a call from an unknown number. Inku borrowed the truck driver's phone to call back, informing him that he was on his way to the hospital and the situation was critical. Inku didn't explain the reason for now. However, Dr. Go felt less worried. Jin immediately went outside to wait for Inku. Dr. Go went to the representative's operating room and began his surgery. Meanwhile, Inku urged the driver to speed up to the hospital. He carried the little girl and ran straight inside, ignoring Jin, who had been waiting. Inku stood in the lobby, requesting emergency treatment for the little girl. She was showing signs of hypothermia and respiratory failure due to the effects of the medication. The medication caused sedation. They arranged a bed for the little girl, measured her blood pressure, and checked her temperature. After everything was ready, Jin suggested that Inku go to the operating room. Dr. Go and everyone else began the surgery. As Inku turned away, the little girl's heart showed signs of stopping. He had to return and perform CPR. However, despite everyone's efforts, her heart did not start beating again. Jin and Inku gave up, leaving only Inku to try to save her. He requested that the intensity be increased to the maximum level. Inku decided to let Inku try one last time. Everyone was hoping for a miracle, and luck smiled upon them. The little girl's heart started beating again. Everyone was overjoyed. Inku breathed a sigh of relief. The gastroenterologist came and took the little girl to the treatment ward. At the same time, they asked to find the girl's guardian. They also notified the police because Inku said she found the girl on the street but didn't know whose child she was. At that moment, Jin reminded Inku that it wasn't over yet. He still had an important surgery waiting. Jin immediately pulled Inku away from the scene. Meanwhile, in the mock prisoner's operating room, the doctors began to speak. Inku was still unconscious even though it was already past the scheduled time for anesthesia. More than 2 hours had passed, and they couldn't wait any longer. The nurses received a notification that they needed to separate the blood vessels for transplantation to the delegates. They decided to perform the surgery themselves without Inku. Inku was only brought in by Jin when the surgery was almost complete. However, after hearing Jin's story, no one intended to punish Inku. He apologized to everyone and then continued with the surgery. Inadvertently, Inku discovered that the patient had a bile leak. Everyone became suspicious because this patient had been operated on by Dr. Go himself. To demonstrate to them, it was first necessary to remove the old liver to clean the blood vessels and bile ducts. Inku asked Zin to prepare artificial blood vessels for him. Inku wanted to replace the damaged blood vessels in the patient's body. However, that would take about 5 hours. Inku asked the doctor if they could continue anesthesia for the patient. The anesthesiologist confirmed there was no problem. Inku was relieved and proceeded with the procedure. Unexpectedly, he received a call that the donated liver had arrived. Inku requested that it be placed directly into the patient's body. After the procedure, he proceeded to fix the damaged blood vessels using small stitches to avoid damaging the blood vessels. The process concluded with the patient's heart rate and blood pressure returning to normal. Inku then proceeded to the next step, replacing the damaged blood vessels with artificial ones. This took 8 hours without a stitch. Inku began to sweat profusely. The patient's blood pressure was dropping, likely reaching its limit. Inku only had one stitch left. Now, he would restore blood flow to the organs and blood vessels. He pumped warm saline solution into the body, and the organs regained their color. This is where the procedure ends. The surgery was more than halfway successful. Everyone was overjoyed. Dr. Go came outside the operating room and witnessed the entire process. Just then, Jayan came out, and Dr. Go took the opportunity to ask about everything inside. Everything was handled carefully by Inku. Normally, he's very cold, but is incredibly warm towards his patients. That's what Jayan felt about Inku. Afterwards, Jayan returned to the operating room. Inku was almost exhausted. Everyone advised him to rest. They would call a replacement, but Inku was determined to complete the surgery himself. The surgery unintentionally took place on Jayan. They discovered Inku had a nosebleed. Perhaps it was due to exhaustion, but Inku still pretended to be fine. The surgery continued, and after a while, Inku finished the last stitch. The doctors would handle the rest, and Inku could go rest. He leaned on everyone and asked permission to leave, but after only a few steps, he suddenly collapsed. Everyone was extremely worried and rushed Inku to the emergency room. Jin stayed to take care of him. She was about to bandage the wound on his arm when, unexpectedly, Dr. Go arrived and discovered that Inku's arm was seriously injured. A superficial bandage would cause him serious harm. Losing this arm, according to the doctor, is like losing one's life. Dr. Go decided to stitch up Inku's wound. Seeing Inku's caring attitude, Inku felt that Dr. Go treated Inku like his own son. Even as his own daughter, she felt envious. Meanwhile, the broker returned to Inku's house. He searched everything and found a hidden camera in the room. The broker also found Inku's investigation report in the wardrobe. At the same time, he discovered a family photo that Inku had carefully hidden. The man in the picture looked very familiar. The broker realized that Inku's father was a victim. His agent finally understood why Inku was in prison. It was for revenge against Hyun Bom. The agent hurriedly set off to warn Hyun Bom. In prison, Hyun Bom started vomiting, even spitting out ketchup. Hyun Bom panicked and called for security, but no one heard his pleas. That morning, a couple accompanied the police to the hospital. They were the parents of the little girl Inku had rescued. Last night, they cried as they claimed their daughter, Don Hai, and told them she was all right. However, before the couple arrived, Don Hai had undergone some checks. After examining the little girl and discovering something unusual, she took the couple to the police to give their statements. The wife began to recount how they had argued that day about the cost of their daughter's treatment. The girl had leukemia and was being treated with an experimental drug that was very expensive. The girl asked her mother if she would stop arguing if she left, and then she ran away from home. The villagers questioned the wife, asking if the girl had taken the medication before leaving. The mother insisted she hadn't, so why was the girl being tested for the drug? The police also investigated further. The girl had wounds on her body, and he wanted to see a doctor. He found her on the way. At that moment, Inku also woke up. Despite not having fully recovered, Inku had an important matter to attend to. Jay didn't know where he wanted to go, so he followed him. Unexpectedly, as soon as they reached the door, Inku was stopped by the police who asked him to cooperate with the investigation. Inku wanted to attend to his important matter first, but the police refused, forcing him to go to the police station. At the police station, they began taking his statement. When he encountered the girl, he noticed something unusual. Inku lied to the police, saying that the girl had been unconscious at the time and he hadn't noticed. Something strange happened, and the police wondered why Inku was at the girl's place. Even though it was quite far from his house, Inku said he was on his way to the hospital to assist in an organ donation surgery. However, that wasn't a shortcut to the hospital. Unexpectedly, Dr. Go appeared to save the day. After Jayan called to report that Inku had been taken away by the police, he immediately came. Dr. Go identified himself as a doctor from the hospital who had asked Inku to help, and he had all the necessary credentials, so Inku's statement was completely true. As for why Inku had to take a roundabout route, it was because he didn't have a license. The car should be taken by bus. After hearing Dr. Go's explanation, the police agreed to let Inku go. Inku told Dr. Go to go ahead, saying he wanted to go somewhere. Dr. Go wanted to take him, and Inku couldn't refuse. In the car, Dr. Go wondered why Inku was injured. Was it related to the incident?
Stern Boom Stern.
Dr. Go learned that the little girl Inku had saved was poisoned by halathanin, a type of anesthetic used by currency smugglers on Inku's father 15 years ago. Suspecting Inku rescued the girl from the currency smugglers, Dr. Go warned him not to continue doing dangerous things. However, Inku couldn't let it go. Hung, in his rage, wanted to investigate who else was involved in the drug trafficking ring. Dr. Go demanded that Inku leave prison and work at Sununlim Hospital so that Dr. Go could supervise him. Otherwise, he would revoke his medical license. He then asked the head of the department to fire Inku, but he remained unmoved. The two disagreed, and Inku immediately got out of the car and hailed a taxi ahead of Dr. Go. Dr. Go could only sigh. Afterwards, Inku returned to prison. It turned out that the important thing he needed to do was check if the broker had informed Hung. Boom, or so. Someone at the prison confirmed that no one had come to see him today. Inku then called the general office to see if anyone was planning to visit prisoner 4713 or send him an email. The office confirmed that no one had, and Inku felt relieved. It seemed that Hung Buom still didn't know what happened last night. Later, the guard brought Hung Buom to see Inku for a medical examination. Through questioning, Inku discovered that Hung Buom truly didn't know what had happened. Inku pretended to be researching the kidney donor, saying he wanted to help that person with the surgery. To earn more money, Hyam Buom told Inku that illegally traded organs would not be transplanted domestically but would be taken abroad. Inku could also go abroad. Hyam Buom asked Inku if he was sure, because his clients also preferred Korean doctors to perform the surgery. Inku confirmed he could do it. That evening, Inku returned home and discovered his room had been ransacked. All his secrets had been revealed. Inku knew this could only have been done by the broker. That morning, Inku went to the hospital to visit the little girl he had saved. She had woken up, although she didn't recognize Inku's face, but she remembered him very well. In his warm voice, she reassured him, "Don't worry, I'll be all right." Inu wanted to know why she had been kidnapped by organ traffickers. Unexpectedly, she was the one who contacted them on the day her parents argued. She ran away in anger, but she didn't blame her parents. She blamed herself for her many illnesses. Her parents were worried about the cost of medicine and medication, which led to their argument. She accidentally saw a flyer advertising the sale of kidneys at high prices. To ease her parents' burden, she decided to sell her kidney, thus becoming entangled in their trafficking ring. Inu wanted to know the phone number she had called, but she couldn't. Remembering him, he encouraged the little girl to recover quickly, then turned to leave. Suddenly, Inku remembered his younger sister. He had once wanted his sister to be his only child because he saw his father struggling to earn money to pay for her hospital bills. Inku had once abandoned his sister on the street, and even now, the memory still gnaws at his conscience. But compared to the hardships and suffering, people fear losing loved ones more. Inku advised the little girl that although her parents worked hard, they were willing to make that sacrifice for her if anything happened to her. Her parents would surely be the ones who would suffer. The best way to make parents happy is for the child to be happy too. Inku wrote down the phone number so she could call when she needed help. The little girl smiled as she saw Inku off from the hospital room. Meanwhile, Hyam Bung was given an obituary by the guard. Inside, it mentioned Inku's father. Hyam Bung recognized the name. It sounded familiar. The man he had killed 15 years ago was Inku's father. Hyam Bung even hit Inku once, saying, "No wonder that face is so familiar." Finally, Hyam Bung understood why Inku had come to this prison. Knowing he was very angry, boom, Jae-in could only laugh at this moment. She went to help her father clean up his office, unexpectedly discovering that a disciplined doctor could have such a messy life. By chance, Jae-in found her father using tranquilizers. Suddenly, Dr. Go's phone rang. Jae-in answered and saw the message, "Son." She wondered when her father had a son. Jae-in answered to see who it was. She was surprised when she heard Ian Q on the other end. Jae-in dropped the phone just as Dr. Go returned to his office. Jae-in asked her father, "What's going on? Why is Ian Q the son of Dr. Go?" Dr. Go told his daughter to sit down. Then, slowly explaining everything, Dr. Go and his wife divorced. He accidentally met Inku, and seeing that Inku was so young and had to take care of her sick younger sister alone, Dr. Go took pity on her and adopted both siblings. In was upset. "Dad, do you know I was seriously ill at that time?" Dr. Go didn't know. He left his wife to take care of their daughter alone and went to adopt two strangers. Dr. Go could only apologize. In continued to reproach Dr. Go, saying that her family wasn't as important to him as his patients. In angrily left, leaving Dr. Go feeling remorseful. Later, he called. Inku then asked what the call was about, whether he had been thinking about the proposal to leave prison and work at the hospital. Mentioning this, Inku's expression changed. He said he'd dialed the wrong number and hung up. Actually, Inku wanted to ask Dr. Go to arrange for the little girl he saved to be included in the hospital's medical assistance program, but he had already met Dan Hai and received her help. Inku repaid her with a cup of coffee. While they were talking, Dr. Lai arrived. Seeing Inku and Dan Hai being intimate, Dr. Lai became jealous because he had liked Dan Hai for a long time. Inku understood and immediately excused himself to leave. In reality, Inku was leaving the hospital to go home when she was accidentally spotted by Jae-in. She wanted to talk to Inku but lacked the courage because Jae-in remembered Inku's previous words about her younger sister's body being donated by her adoptive father without his consent. Now that Jae-in knew it was her father, she didn't know what to say when standing before Inku. On the other side, Hyunbom came to take his medicine. As soon as the guard finished checking and left, he immediately spat out the medicine, knowing it was poison that Inku had prescribed for him. The next day, Hyunbom went to talk to the chubby boy, the son of head of Department B. Bought the chubby boy a candy bar because the chubby boy had diabetes, so all the financial support was taken by head of Department BCH, and the chubby boy wasn't allowed to buy candy. But he was still very addicted to sweets. Head of Department BCH promised to give the chubby boy money if he gave him his medicine. Later, the chubby boy went to the clinic. Head of Department BCH took a blood test, and it was discovered that his son's blood sugar was higher than usual. "Did you secretly eat candy again?" The chubby boy immediately denied it, saying that he had been feeling dizzy lately. Maybe it was due to the medication wasn't enough, and the weather was getting colder. The chubby boy wanted to ask the head of department to increase the dosage. He was a little suspicious but still agreed. The head of department gave his son a new bottle of medicine, and the boy seemed extremely happy. At this time, Dr. Go was taking pictures of his headache. More and more skilled doctors were appearing, but even they couldn't fight the diseases of old age. After diagnosis, Dr. Go was diagnosed with vision loss. For a surgeon, it was as if his career was over. Dr. Go sadly returned home and unexpectedly met his daughter. Seeing that Jin was still angry, Jae-in wants to reconcile with Dr. Go. Jae-in asks about his sister Inku, and Dr. Go tries to admit that he signed the body donation papers for the girl. Jae-in is angry, wondering if his father considered Inku's feelings. Dr. Go is still tormented by the matter, but if he could decide again, he would still stick with his original choice because only then can both the donor and recipient live. Inku is living in someone else's body. Jae-in can't understand his father, but he can't change the past either. On the other hand, Hyunbom's condition is getting worse. Thinking back, he resents Inku. When the guard called him for a checkup, Hyunbom secretly hid a knife in the infirmary. He still pretended to be normal, claiming his leg was swollen and asking Inku to examine it. While Inku bent down, Hyunbom pushed back his hair, confirming the scar he had inflicted 15 years ago. Inu was startled to discover Hyunbom had stabbed him with a knife. Inku immediately subdued him. Hyunbom could only laugh. "I should have realized it sooner. Now it's too late." Hyunbom threatened to tell Inku to get him expelled from prison. However, Inku had a way to save him. If not, in just one. In the next 2 days, Hyunbom would definitely have to beg. Hyunbom sarcastically remarked that he didn't want to beg Inku like his father had done 15 years ago. Hung Bung revealed a secret. That time, Inku's father came to see him selling local currency, not for money to save his daughter, but because he wanted to buy his son a pair of shoes. Inku was furious. He knocked Inku down and pinned him down. He continued to provoke him. Seeing the commotion inside, the guards and nurses ran in to intervene. They pulled Inku away. Hyunbom smirka triumphantly. Later, Inku called to the warden's office. Inku said fighting was normal here, but if the superiors found out, they wouldn't be safe. Inku bowed his head and apologized to the warden, asking him to let him return to work. On the way back, Inku thought back to the words of the organ seller who wanted to buy him a new pair of shoes 15 years ago. Inku didn't like the cheap shoes on the street but paid attention to the expensive shoe store. His father understood and promised to buy him a new pair next time. But his father only ever made promises. Inku showed his displeasure. Back home, He heard his father wanted to sell his organs to save his younger sister. Thinking his father didn't love him, Inu returned to reality, looking down at his shoes. He was filled with remorse, knowing that he was partly responsible for his father's death. That evening, Inu returned home to find Dr. Go waiting for him outside the prison. Dr. Go wanted to invite Inu to dinner, and they went to a restaurant. Inu told him about the incident with Hyam Boam, who now knew who he was. Dr. Go continued to advise Inu to leave prison and work at the hospital. Inu's decision remained unchanged, so Dr. Go changed the subject. His purpose in visiting Inu was to arrange an appointment. He wanted Inu to meet his daughter. Inu remembered that Dr. Go had another daughter. His daughter is in America. However, when he said that the girl was Jin Inku, she refused to attend the meeting because they already knew each other. Inku directly asked to leave, leaving Dr. Go to drink alone. Today is the day the old prisoner is discharged from the hospital. He will be taken back to prison. Before leaving, the old prisoner wanted to see his daughter, but the warden refused. Inku felt sorry for the old prisoner and stopped the warden from taking him away, saying that she had forgotten some documents and would go get them immediately. The warden had to leave the old prisoner to wait. Later, Jin came to find Inku, and he went to find her again. In the way of avoiding him, In kept him there, asking for help for the elderly prisoner. According to the law, only family members are allowed to visit prisoners, not the other way around. In couldn't help. In didn't understand why his daughter was so close and he couldn't even look at her. In wondered why In was trying so hard. The prisoner wasn't her family. In expressed sympathy for fathers who couldn't be with their children. In was moved by this. He agreed to help. Later, In replaced the guard in pushing the old prisoner's cart. He told the guard that the prison cart was at the back door and then led the prisoner. The old man took a roundabout route. Inu stopped his car in front of his daughter's hospital room. Inside, he pulled back the curtain so the old prisoner could see his daughter's face. The father and daughter were emotional upon seeing each other. After a while, the guard came to urge them on, so Inu had to take the fake prisoner away. Meanwhile, the head of department was examining his son and discovered his blood pressure had risen again. He was angry, thinking the chubby boy had secretly eaten sweets. The boy still denied it, blaming it on the cold weather. The head of department didn't believe everything his son had done in prison. He could find out with just one question. The head of department reminded him, "Son, if your blood pressure continues to drop tomorrow, I'll have someone check it." The chubby boy returned because he had given all his medicine to Hung Boam, so he couldn't withstand the cold weather and was constantly shivering. However, he still kept his word. Hung Boam went to the chubby boy and gave him all his medicine. Hung Boam also returned his favorite treat, candy. The chubby boy immediately ate it greedily, ignoring his father's warnings. Suddenly, the chubby boy collapsed to the ground, having a seizure. Hung Boam, as if knowing the outcome, remained extremely calm and helped the boy. The chubby guy called the guard at that moment. Inku had just brought the old prisoner back to the prison. The old man was extremely grateful for Inku's help. He asked the guard to take care of the old prisoner and then went inside to work. Suddenly, the prison's emergency alarm rang. The guards pushed the chubby guy to the emergency room. Inku immediately followed and checked on the chubby guy. The head of the department, hearing the signal, also came over. Seeing that the person lying on the table was his son, he rushed in, wanting to take over Inku's examination, but the head of the department couldn't keep calm. Seeing this, the nurse reminded him to check the patient's heart rate. Inku advised head of department B to wait outside while he saved the chubby boy. Head of department B reluctantly stood aside. Inku told the nurse to measure the boy's blood sugar, but unexpectedly it was as high as 500. He asked the nurse to inject saline and insulin into the chubby boy. Inku checked the boy's mouth and found a fruity smell. He suspected the chubby boy had diabetes, which could be fatal. Head of Department B was in shock and requested that the chubby boy be taken to the hospital. Everyone helped push him into the ambulance. Later, the chubby boy was taken to the hospital. Head of Department B called for a doctor and prescriptions. Hai rushed over to check on the situation. Inku's words suggested that the chubby boy's current condition might be due to him stopping his medication. The head of department, Beck, didn't believe it because he personally prepared his son's medication. Inku suggested going to see Dr. Kwong first, as the boy might have suffered a head injury from the fall. The head of department, Beck, insisted on calling an internal medicine doctor because he was the guardian. As Inku predicted, the chubby boy had diabetes. The head of department, Beck, decided to stay at the hospital to care for his son. Back at the prison, Humming was being questioned by the guard because he was sitting nearby when the chubby boy fainted. He kept denying it. "I don't know anything." He raised his hand for the guard to see. "I'm about to die too. I need someone to go with me so I'm not so lonely." The guard was furious. "Just wait until everyone at the hospital returns, then we'll know whether Hyam Boam is involved or not." Hyam Boam used the excuse of waiting until then. "I need to take my medicine tonight."
Hyam Boam screamed.
The guard rushed over to check and found his eyes were bloodshot and his mental state was abnormal. They immediately took Hyam Boam to the clinic. He had a seizure and vomited blood plasma. The nurse decided to take him. He went to the hospital because there were no doctors left. Inku and the head of Department B were both at the hospital, taking care of the chubby boy. Inadvertently, Inku noticed something unusual and wondered what treatment the chubby boy was receiving. He was being treated with an acid infusion, receiving 1 liter of regular saline every hour along with 100 units of insulin every hour. Blood glucose would increase by 10 units and would be checked every 4 hours, with the goal of lowering blood glucose to 150/50. Inku wondered why the indicators remained unchanged after the chubby boy had been treated for 8 hours. There was no change in his condition, and no signs of him regaining consciousness. At that moment, head of Department B remembered Inku's words, "Maybe the chubby boy has a head injury." He tried to feel the back of his head to check, and it was indeed as Inku had predicted. Head of Department B panicked and called for neurosurgery. Everyone immediately rushed the chubby boy to the emergency room. Meanwhile, the ambulance was taking Hyam Boam to the hospital when, unexpectedly, it was hit by a truck. Everyone in the ambulance was injured. Later, another ambulance arrived, taking only Hyam Boam. The chubby boy was taken to the emergency room, but the surgeon was helpless because the diagnosis was too late. All they could do was tell the head of Department B to prepare mentally. Mr. Seward almost couldn't stand. He should have listened to Inku from the beginning. The doctor left first, but Inku immediately chased after him, asking if there was any way to save the situation. The chubby boy had a brain herniation due to the late diagnosis, so his brain had swollen and protruded outside the skull. The reason for this rapid progression was partly due to the chubby boy's history of diabetes. Now, even if they opened the skull, it couldn't be closed again. The doctor couldn't help and left first. Inku also changed his clothes and returned, unexpectedly receiving. Inku received a phone call from prison informing him of Hyam Boam's condition. He was coughing and vomiting. Inku realized the medication had taken effect. However, there was a second notification. Hyam Boam had been in an accident on the way to the hospital. The nurse only knew of a hospital that had sent an ambulance to the scene. Inku rushed there to check, but he couldn't find Hyam Boam. Only a guard had been brought from the prison. Inku asked the guard what had happened, and the guard only remembered Hyam Boam being taken away by an ambulance and didn't know what had happened. Hung Boam, worried, called around to hospitals he knew, but there were no new patients named Hung Boam. Believing he was using a fake name, Inku decided to search hospitals in the area around the accident site, but found no trace of him. The next morning, Inku accidentally saw news about the car accident through surveillance cameras. Police investigations revealed that the vehicle involved in the accident used fake license plates. The ambulance that took Hung Boam away didn't belong to any hospital, and police also discovered, in Hyam Boam's cell, there was no medicine on his prescription. This was medicine taken from the chubby boy. Hyam Boam used it to fake illness and stage a prison break. On the way to the hospital, because there was no medicine, the chubby boy's blood pressure spiked, causing him to fall and suffer brain damage. This morning, the chubby boy died of brain death in the hospital. The head of the department came to see Inu, and they decided to donate the chubby boy's organs to the hospital. Everything was caused by Hyam Boam. Inu was extremely angry. Unexpectedly, he received a call, and it turned out to be Hyam Boam. Thanks to Inu, it was thanks to him that Hung Boam fell ill, giving Inu the chance to escape. Inu wanted to know where he was. Hyam Boam didn't need him to come looking for him. He would come to Inu himself. Inu angrily shouted, "If you're so brave, come here right now." Inu only received a triumphant laugh in return, making Inu even angrier. Later, Inu returned to the prison and immediately saw the head of Department BCH. The head of Department BCH immediately lunged at Inu and kicked him repeatedly. Inu didn't resist, and the head of Department BCH claimed that because Inu appeared in the prison, Hung Boam tried to escape, leading to the death of the chubby guard who saw the fight and ran over. After advising and dragging the head of department away, Inku regrets that everything turned out this way because of him. Inku goes to apologize to the head of department. He wants to submit his resignation. Inku wants to go catch Hyam Buom so he pays for his crimes. The head of department remains silent. Inku leaves prison. That evening, he goes home to rest. Inku dreams of a nightmare. He is looking for his father and sister. Hyam Buom suddenly appears, wanting to ask Inku for a kidney. Unexpectedly, there is a knock on the door. Helping Inku escape the nightmare, it turns out to be Dr. Go. After seeing the news of Hyam Buom's escape, Dr. Go calls, but Inku didn't answer the phone, so Dr. Go decided to go to Inku's house to find him. He went around the house checking to see how his son was doing, but there wasn't even a bottle of cold water. Dr. Go had to go to the supermarket to buy some food. Incidentally, he called Jin to Inku's house for a family gathering. However, he didn't reveal anything to Jin beforehand, only telling her to bring some medical supplies. Jin didn't know what her father wanted, but she obeyed and went to the designated location. When she arrived, she realized it was Inku's house. He was sleeping soundly with many wounds on his body. Dr. Go decided to stay and take care of Inku. He sent his daughter to get some blankets. Jae-in opened the closet and accidentally discovered a picture of Hyam Buom. She didn't know who it was, so she put it back in its place. On the way back, Jae-in saw news about the wanted criminal. Only then did she realize that the picture in Inku's closet was of the criminal Hyam Buom. Meanwhile, Inku had regained consciousness. Dr. Go continued to advise her not to pursue Hyam Buom anymore. But now, Inku's purpose was no longer just personal revenge. That bastard Hyam Buom had killed too many people. He had to be punished. Inku had gone too far down the path of revenge. He couldn't turn back. Dr. Go reminded Inku that a person who lives only for revenge is no different from a pathetic individual. And even if revenge is successful, it comes at a great cost. He left Inku behind. Later, Inku received a call from the hospital. They didn't know he had quit his job at the prison. The doctor informed Inku that the prisoner who had been stabbed by Hyam Buom had just regained consciousness. Inku immediately went to see him at the hospital. Inku told the prisoner, "Hi, Buom has just escaped from prison." He knew that both he and the prisoner were in the same situation. In the illegal organ trafficking ring, Inku asks the prisoner, where might Hyam Buom be hiding? The prisoner doesn't want to reveal his whereabouts, but now, besides Inku, no one can protect him. Hyam Buom will surely come to kill the prisoner again. The prisoner begins to worry. He tells Inku that Hyam Buom is probably at NIP, who is also the ringleader. Inku wants to know who NIP is, but the prisoner only knows that he is a client who started cooperating with Hyam Buom since Inku's father's case. He was about to ask more when, unexpectedly, Dr. Go appears. Inku was dragged outside. Another man, disguised as a nurse, brought a dose of poison to the hospital, along with the prisoner's name tag. He then went into the room with the nurse to make sure he saw the prisoner. As soon as the nurse injected the poison, the prisoner immediately had a seizure. She was extremely panicked. Outside, Inku and Dr. Go were arguing. Inku only wanted to confirm one last thing with the prisoner, but Dr. Go refused to let him in. Suddenly, the nurse ran out and announced that the prisoner was in shock. The more Inku tried to take the poison, the more desperate he became. Dr. Go was forced to call security to drag him away. Afterward, Dr. Go went into the room to prepare emergency treatments for the escaped prisoner, Inku. The security guard entered and witnessed the prisoner in critical condition. Suddenly, he received a furious phone call from Inku, wanting to provoke him. It was Inku who had ordered the prisoner's death. The only person who knew about Inku's father's death and the mastermind behind the organ trafficking ring was dead. What should he do? Inku was extremely angry. He accidentally discovered the broker was still there. Inku immediately chased after him, but unfortunately, he was hit by a car. Inku had to hide the name of the broker in the hospital. The prisoner had also passed away. Dr. Go asked the nurse if anyone else had been there besides Inku. The nurse confirmed that no one had. Dr. Go remembered Inku saying that he wanted to kill the prisoner himself because he was involved in his father's death. Dr. Go suspected Inku had done it. When he went outside and saw Inku returning, Dr. Go pretended not to see Inku. He went straight to the security room to check the security cameras, confirming that Inku hadn't done anything. The prisoner was dead. Dr. Go then called his brother. On this side, Inku saw that the prisoner had died and was extremely confused. The only clue was cut off, and now Inku didn't know what to do. He received a call from Dr. Go. Inku went to see him. Dr. Go wanted to know what Inku had done. The prisoner's name was Hung Buom's. Inku said he did nothing. He even saw Hung Buom's henchman with his own eyes. Dr. Go didn't believe him. Why would Hung Buom come to the hospital to kill someone? There were so many cameras here. Why didn't they record the killer? Even after explaining, Dr. Go didn't believe him. Inku angrily left. Dr. Go had to pretend to believe him. If everything Inku said was true, it's possible that Hyam Buom is targeting him, and he even knows what Inku is doing. That's why he sent someone to deal with the prisoner at the right time. Inku doesn't want to worry too much about capturing Hyam Buom. It's become an obsession for him. Ignoring Dr. Go's advice, Inku decided to put himself in danger. He left, abandoning Dr. Go. Afterward, Inku returned home to review the prisoner's information. He found the prisoner's address and decided to go there. That morning, Dr. Go was summoned by the hospital director for reprimand. A patient who was recovering well had suddenly died. In the hospital, the director and deputy director wanted to shift the blame onto Dr. Go, leaving him to bear the guilt alone. He could only remain silent and let it pass. As soon as Dr. Go left the director's office, he overheard the nurses gossiping, saying that the old doctor was too weak to save the patient in time. Jainku suddenly appeared, causing the two nurses to immediately shut up. She took her father and fled from the commotion. Meanwhile, Inku was on his way to the prisoner's house. Upon arriving, he met the prisoner's mother. The old woman was still mourning her son. Inku wanted to visit her, and she invited him to stay for a meal. He accidentally discovered something. All the furniture in the house came from Sunlam Hospital. Perhaps the name of the cabinet was sponsored by the hospital. Inu understood something. He didn't stay any longer and hurried back. On the other side, Sun Lim Hospital was holding a meeting. The chairman of the Hong Kong group wanted to perform a double surgery, a kidney and pancreas transplant, on his daughter. Dr. Go objected, saying no one at the hospital was capable of performing such a surgery. Dr. Go also lacked the confidence to take on the role. The vice director took a CT scan of the girl, showing that complications from the disease had spread. The soles of the feet. If surgery isn't performed, both legs will have to be amputated. The patient is only 24 years old. She can't handle such a huge shock. Dr. Go still wants to observe the situation to see if surgery is necessary. The hospital not only needs to save the patient's life but also ensure the safety of the donor. If only the kidneys die, it's fine, but if the pancreas of a living person dies, it will be very dangerous. Dr. Go wants to wait to see if any patient suffers brain death so that their pancreas can be harvested. A double surgery would be safer. Dr. Go then stood up and left. After leaving the meeting room, the director went to Dr. Go's office. Just that morning, Dr. Go had been scolding him, but now he was putting on a cheerful face. The director wanted to apologize for what happened that morning. The responsibility lay with the entire hospital, and Dr. Go couldn't bear all the blame alone. Dr. Go, not being petty, accepted the director's apology. Only then did the director reveal his true purpose. He wanted Dr. Go to quickly perform surgery on Chairman Choi's daughter. The director gave Dr. Go the girl's medical records. The complications weren't just in her leg, but were affecting her as well. The girl's entire cornea could cause permanent blindness. Actually, Chairman Choi is a longtime friend of the director. He asked the director to do everything he could to help. The director could only rely on Dr. Go. That evening, Inku returned to Sunlam Hospital to find Dr. Go. He believed there was an illegal organ trafficking ring operating there. Dr. Go didn't believe him because the hospital always thoroughly checked the identities of both patients and donors before agreeing to surgery. But suppose there was a case where the donor forged an ID and lied about being a relative. The possibility of patients secretly buying and selling local currency behind the scenes isn't entirely impossible. Dr. Go still vehemently denies it, claiming he's a man of professional ethics and would never do anything so unethical, but it's still possible someone else is assisting him. Dr. Go suddenly remembers the hospital director who always manages to find patients' relatives and persuade them to agree to organ donation. However, he hides Inku at this hospital. There's no way it's as he says. Inku is determined not to dismiss this hypothesis, as it's the only clue leading to the truth. Regarding her father's death, Inku noticed that Dr. Go's expression was somewhat unusual. Was he hiding something? Inku didn't want to doubt Dr. Go, so she begged him to tell her the truth. Dr. Go seemed agitated. Even if he knew, he wouldn't say it at this moment. Inku angrily left, accidentally bumping into Di in at the door. She didn't know what had happened between them, only that her father was slumped over with a headache. She was about to ask him what was wrong when she suddenly received a phone call from the hospital requesting a health check for the organ donor for the chairman's daughter. After that, Di-in went to the room to find. The organ donor called out to him repeatedly, but he didn't answer. Di-in wondered, could this not be his name? The organ donor nodded, confirming it was his name. Seeing the donor's slight anxiety, Di-in reassured him, gave him hospital clothes to change into, and then took him for a health check. The donor nodded in agreement, but his expression seemed reluctant, making Di-in somewhat suspicious. After changing clothes, the donor was taken for testing. The check revealed no health problems. He went to the garden alone to call his son, hiding the fact that he was going to donate an organ, but he broke down in tears, fearing he wouldn't survive the surgery. He only promised to come home early and bring lots of food for the boy. At this time, Inku was on his way home. The broker secretly followed him, but he discovered him. Inku pretended not to know and went straight into the house. Checking through the window, he saw the broker leave. That morning, when Inku went out, the broker continued to follow him through the rearview mirror. With his keen eyesight, Inku recognized the broker and tried to lure him into a trap. The broker had to leave his car behind. He even forgot his phone in the car. Inku led the broker around in circles, then hid in a convenience store. The broker lost track of Inku and angrily returned. Inku immediately sneaked out and went in a different direction. He then hailed a taxi and followed the broker's car. Meanwhile, Jae-in brought the donor's test results to his father. The donor was eligible to donate organs, but Jae-in noticed something strange. Normally, a person would react immediately when their name is called, but the donor kept calling him repeatedly. Moreover, he didn't have anyone to supervise him. The accompanying family members should know this is an extremely dangerous surgery. At least some family members should be there to offer encouragement, and the Chairman Choi's family should also come to thank the distant relatives who came all the way here to donate organs to save their daughter. Hearing Jin's questions, Dr. Go also began to suspect whether the organ donor was truly a relative of Chairman Choi. Dr. Go remembered Inku's hypothesis that illegal organ trafficking might be taking place right within the hospital. Dr. Go decided to meet with the representative of the person whose organ was donated by their relative to investigate further. He arranged for Dr. Go to check on the delegate, using the excuse of mentioning a relative who had donated organs, asking why he hadn't come for a checkup. Both donors and recipients need regular checkups, and the delegate's relative had been discharged a bit early. The delegate would remind his relative to come for a checkup. Dr. Go immediately caught onto the phone, saying he could call right now. The delegate realized he'd been tricked and tried to cover it up, saying his relative was busy lately and he didn't want to bother him. Dr. Go caught him red-handed. Dr. Go excused himself to let the delegates rest, then went to get information about the relative who had donated to the delegates. Unexpectedly, the phone number was fake. Dr. Go called Jae-in and told him to bring the donor's file for Chairman Choi's daughter. Jae-in immediately complied. Upon receiving the file, Dr. Go checked the address of the donor and asked Jae-in to go there to verify if this person was truly a relative of Chairman Choi. Jae-in didn't know what his father wanted, but he still went to the designated location. Upon arrival, he confirmed the name was correct. The organ donor, Ji-in, wanted to call someone in his family, but unexpectedly, a man appeared, claiming to be his relative. The man also confirmed that he was a relative of the chairman. So who was the organ donor in the hospital? Ji-in immediately called his father to inform him. On the other end, Dr. Go was preparing for surgery, but he still answered the phone. Ji-in recounted his discovery. The organ donor in the hospital was a fake. Dr. Go decided to proceed with the surgery, surprising everyone. Dr. Go went outside, and Dr. Lai chased after him, asking what had happened. Dr. Lai knows the identity of the organ donor has been swapped. Now Dr. Go needs to verify who is behind this setup. He wants to find the director of the institute. The director is also looking for Dr. Go to ask why he postponed the surgery. The two return to the director's office to talk. Dr. Go mentions two surgeries personally requested by the director, one for a delegate and the other for the chairman's daughter. Dr. Go discovers that both organ donors used fake identities. He suspects it was a setup by the director. He wants to curry favor with them. The powerful director feigns surprise, pretending to know nothing about it. Dr. Go argued that there was an illegal organ trafficking ring operating at Sunlam Hospital, and that many people were involved. The director became angry. "Are you implying that I'm involved?" he said. "If there's suspicion, Dr. Go is more likely to be the culprit than the director, as is more familiar with the situation at the organ transplant center." The director called someone to arrange an interrogation to discipline Dr. Go and the transplant center for failing to verify the identity of the organ donor. Clearly, having to cancel an emergency surgery, Dr. Go was speechless. The hospital director really knew how to shift responsibility. At this moment, Inku followed the broker to the boarding house, almost getting discovered. The broker went a little further when he was suddenly dragged into an alley by Hung Buom. "You're being followed," he saw. As soon as he saw Inku, he carefully hid. Inku lost sight of the broker but spotted the fat guy who was with him before. The fat guy was opening the door to his house when he received a warning call. Seeing Inu rushing towards him, the fat guy immediately hid inside the house. Inku smashed the glass door and rushed in. The fat man quickly fled upstairs, having set a trap. Luckily, Inu managed to dodge it just in time as the fat man tried to escape through the window. Hyam Bum and the broker were waiting below. The fat man immediately jumped onto the roof of a truck, and the broker helped him up and took him away. Hyam Bum didn't forget to taunt Inku. He also jumped down but couldn't catch them. Inku decided to return to the house to look for clues. Inside, Inku found a piece of paper with the name of the organ donor at Sun Liam Hospital. Inku immediately took it back with him. Later, Inku arrived at the hospital. As soon as he got out of the car, he unexpectedly bumped into a hurried man who was the organ donor for Chairman Choi's daughter. Unsure what to do, he continued inside. He went to the ward to find the donor, but he had already left. Just then, DIN arrived and informed him that the surgery had been cancelled. They searched for the donor but couldn't find him. Inku decided to go see Dr. Go and inform him that the donor had been brought in by Hung Buom. At that moment, Dr. Go was dizzy and couldn't see Inku clearly. He also noticed Dr. Go's unusual behavior, but Inku pretended everything was fine. Dr. Go asked specifically about the story of Inku taking out the piece of paper that Hyam Buom was providing illegal organ donation information to someone in Sunlam Hospital. Knowing that Inku had infiltrated Hyam Buom's hideout alone, Dr. Go was extremely angry. No matter how many times he warned Inku not to do anything dangerous, Inku ignored him and insisted on finding the person in the hospital cooperating with Hyam Buom. Noticing Dr. Go's unusual behavior, Inku became suspicious. "Do you have a suspect?" Dr. Go refused to reveal anything. "If Inku wants to know, come and work as a doctor at the hospital yourself to investigate. It's possible that Dr. Go will be demoted soon for cancelling today's surgery. This is a good opportunity for Inku to replace him, and also an opportunity for him to investigate the person behind the currency smuggling ring." Inu still couldn't make a decision. Then he went out to ask about Jin's situation. She still hadn't found a donor. Inku arranged to meet Jin at a cafe to talk. Jin was nearby, so he arrived early and accidentally overheard Dan Hai badmouthing her father, saying he did something wrong and was disciplined twice in the month. Jin immediately retorted, "Why don't you think about that? The hospital made mistakes in the recently cancelled surgery. There are many suspicious points. Dr. Go only wants to investigate the truth. He always puts the patient's best interests first." Don Hai is forced to apologize to Jin. At that moment, Inku also arrives. Don Hai, feeling embarrassed, leaves. Inku and Jin sit down to talk. Inku wants to ask for the donor's records. Jin disagrees because Inku is not a doctor at the hospital, but how does he know the donor's information? Inku honestly tells Jin about the investigation process. Jin looks confused. Does he also have suspicions? Dr. Go is involved in an organ trafficking ring. Inku completely trusts his character, but there's someone secretly behind the transplant center carrying out illegal transactions. Inku can't ignore it. Jin decides to give Inku the organ donor's file, so he should investigate and clear Dr. Go's name. Inku realizes this is the person he bumped into earlier. Inku still has the taxi receipt. He can find out from the transportation company where the organ donor took the taxi. Jin wants to go with Inku, and the two immediately set off that evening. The man went to the taxi driver's place. He remembered very clearly that the organ donor in the photo was the one who had squeezed onto the taxi at Sunlam Hospital. Hearing the phone call, it seemed the man wanted to go home. The driver pointed out the location where the organ donor had gotten off the taxi to Inku and Jin. They both went there. Looking for him, Jin went to a convenience store to buy coffee and, while he was there, asked about the man in the photo. The shop owner immediately recognized him as the donor's son, a regular customer. She gave Jin directions to his house. Afterward, Jin and Inku went to the house. Inku found a pile of unpaid bills in the mailbox. The donor, Kim Chun-ho Di-in, came to knock on his door. Uncle Kim's son opened the door just as he returned from buying something. Uncle Kim led the two to another place to talk. He apologized for running away. Uncle Kim was afraid that the impersonation would be exposed and reach the police. Inku wouldn't report it. He only wanted to know the number of the person who informed Uncle Kim. Jae-in wondered, if Uncle Kim didn't return to the hospital, what would happen to her father's disciplinary action? Catching the person behind the transaction would be the best proof to exonerate Dr. Go. Uncle Kim remembered the threat from the man. The broker threatened to extort money from each member of his family. He didn't dare reveal their secret. Inku knew Uncle Kim was being threatened, but since it involved the local currency trafficking ring, it was unavoidable. He recounted his father's story from 15 years ago, saying that even if Uncle Kim didn't reveal their whereabouts, they would kill him and extract all his currency, just like his father. Uncle Kim began to panic. Inku knew of a way to save him. He promised to take responsibility for each member of Uncle Kim's family and decided to give Inku the broker's phone number. He told Uncle Kim to arrange a meeting with him, and Inku would go in his place. Inku was extremely surprised. However, when Uncle Kim called, the number no longer existed. Uncle Kim didn't understand what was happening and quickly explained to Inku that he wasn't lying. Suddenly, Uncle Kim's son ran out to inform him that his mother's condition had worsened. Inku checked on his wife and said she needed to be taken to the hospital immediately. Inku told Uncle Kim to stay home, saying that if he went along now, it would complicate things. Uncle Kim asked him to take care of his wife. Inku gave Uncle Kim his business card so that he could. After contacting Inku, they took his wife to the hospital. Meanwhile, Dr. Go was meeting with members of the Internal Medicine Transplant Center, proposing to invite another internal medicine doctor to work there. Everyone implicitly understood that person was Inku. When Dr. Go announced it, everyone agreed. After the previous organ transplant surgery, everyone recognized Inku's talent, but Dr. Lai seemed dissatisfied, saying Inku was irresponsible for arriving 2 hours late for the surgery. Dr. Go tried to put everyone in that situation, seeing a patient right in front of them. What to do at the hospital? If there's no doctor, there are others, but on the road, Inku is her only hope of survival. Everyone agrees that Inku's decision is right. Dr. Lai didn't offer any further opinions, but at the end of the meeting, he met with Dr. Go privately. He said that he still felt Inku wasn't well. Dr. Lai wanted him to reconsider. Dr. Go said, "You need to spend more time with Inku. You'll understand that he's a very good person." At this moment, Inku had brought Uncle Kim's wife to the hospital. She had hypoglycemia. "Hi, give the nurse an injection. The situation is improving quickly." The woman was under control and only needed a few days of rest before she could be discharged and go home. Inu asked Don Hai to take care of her, then left with Jin. At that time, Jin had a question about the photo she found in Inu's closet. Was it Hai Mbom? Inu confirmed it. He went to the prison with a purpose. Inu wanted revenge, and also wanted to dismantle the currency smuggling ring so that no one would suffer the same fate as his father. Inku's promise to protect Uncle Kim's family was completely sincere. Later, the two met with Dr. Go to announce that they had found. Seeing that Uncle Kim had to sell his local currency due to his circumstances, and noticing that his wife's condition wasn't good, from symptoms like yellowing of the cornea and abdominal distension, Inku suspected she had Megan syndrome, or even end-stage liver cancer. Inku wanted to ask Dr. Go to thoroughly examine her, but Dr. Go was currently under disciplinary action because of Uncle Kim. If he helped the wife, wouldn't he be admitting to having a shady relationship with Uncle Kim? Inku had anticipated this. As long as Uncle Kim didn't show his face at the hospital, no one would know he was impersonating someone else. Dr. Go wanted to speak to Inku Jae privately. Inku Jae went outside first. Dr. Go reiterated his offer to work at the hospital. Inku could treat patients, and he also wanted to find the person behind the Hai Mbom incident. Dr. Go would provide all his support. Inku Jae decided to agree, but he only did this for the purpose of revenge, not for others. After Inku Jae left, Dr. Go smirked, always having to portray himself as the villain. That evening, Inku Jae returned home, packed his belongings and prepared to go to work at the hospital. It was the beginning of a new plan, but he didn't forget about Uncle Kim and his son. The next day, Inku went to see them. Uncle Kim had arranged for his son to be sent to his maternal grandparents' home to participate in Inku's plan. At that time, the boy wondered, "Where is my mother?" Inku and the father had to trick the boy, saying his mother was resting in the hospital and would be back in a few days. The boy made a pinky promise to Inku, "Uncle, you have to take good care of my mother." Inku smiled and encouraged the boy. After making the arrangements, Inku led Uncle Kim to a newly rented secret apartment. Uncle Kim would be hiding there temporarily. Uncle Kim didn't object. On the contrary, he thank you, Inku, for your dedication to his family. Inku will be treating Uncle Kim's wife at the hospital temporarily and won't be able to go home. Uncle Kim must be careful when he's alone. Just as Inku left, Uncle Kim unexpectedly received a call from an unknown number. Thinking it was a call from the currency traders, he was extremely worried. Meanwhile, Inku arrived at the hospital to take up his new position. Everyone welcomed him warmly. Inku changed into his hospital uniform and went to see Dr. Go. The doctor informed him about Uncle Kim's wife's condition. Her liver was being ravaged by multiple tumors. If they were to remove them all now, this would lead to liver failure. The best method is to find a donor to give the patient a completely new liver. However, where to find a donor? Inku immediately remembered Uncle Kim and went outside to call him, but Uncle Kim didn't answer. Realizing something was wrong, Inku rushed back home but couldn't find Uncle Kim because he had been caught by the broker. The broker arranged for Uncle Kim to undergo a different liver transplant surgery. The recipient was still Chairman Choi's daughter, but the surgery was at a different hospital, room 1702. Uncle Kim was terrified and dared not resist. However, he demanded that the broker pay the money up front. Uncle Kim needed the money for his wife's hospital bills. The broker couldn't do that. He said he would pay after the surgery. But he had another way. The broker would lend Uncle Kim 50 million yen. All he had to do was sign the contract. Seeing Uncle Kim hesitate, the broker snatched the contract back. Uncle Kim had no choice but to accept, sign the paper, and provide his fingerprints. After everything was done, the broker let Uncle Kim get out of the car and left. Uncle Kim just received a call from Inku. He pretended nothing had happened, but Inku said his wife was in critical condition and needed a liver transplant. Inku wanted him to come to the hospital. After hanging up, Uncle Kim expressed regret for having signed the liver donation contract. He didn't dare go to the hospital and instead arranged to meet Inku and Dr. Go at a coffee shop. Dr. Go decided to let bygones be bygones and agreed to let Uncle Kim go to the hospital for testing before donating his liver to Inku's wife. Inku knew the organ dealers would contact him again, so he suggested Uncle Kim not answer any calls from strangers now if he wasn't in a good mood. If the patient's condition is stable, the surgery cannot be performed. Later, Dr. Go goes to Myeongsin Hospital to apologize to the president's daughter for canceling her surgery. The female patient will forgive him when Dr. Go tells her the reason. She overheard a conversation between the hospital director and her father and knows there's something fishy going on. However, Dr. Go doesn't reveal the truth. He simply doesn't want to kill a living person with his pancreas because it's very dangerous. The female patient's condition could improve if she undergoes physical therapy for a sufficient amount of time while waiting for a recovery. The brain-dead patient appeared. The female patient understood Dr. Go's intentions. At this moment, Inku carefully brought Uncle Kim to the hospital, wearing a mask so no one would recognize him. After testing Uncle Kim, Inku brought the results to Dr. Go. The compatibility was up to standard, and Uncle Kim's liver was large enough for donation. Dr. Go would perform the surgery. Inku worried, if this is exposed, what will my father do? Dr. Go had prepared for the worst-case scenario. If he were fired, he would have his son and daughter to adopt him. The people who came to the Inku Transplant Center's classroom were informed about the patient's and donor's condition. Everyone agreed that they met the criteria for the surgery. At that point, Dr. Go stood up and raised the only issue. Uncle Kim was the imposter who had previously donated to Chairman Choi's daughter. Everyone immediately changed their tune, saying that Uncle Kim was involved in a currency smuggling ring and should be imprisoned, not allowed to undergo surgery. But what about the patient? Dr. Go wanted the transplant center to overlook the past incident. Saving a life is the most important thing. Inku explained that Uncle Kim needed money for his wife's hospital bills, which is why he had to deal with the criminals. If they helped Uncle Kim save his wife, He might testify to restore the reputation of the J Transplant Center. Inku also helped Inku convince everyone that Inku's words were reasonable, and everyone raised their hands in approval for the surgery. Only Dr. Lai looked displeased. He felt he was being outmaneuvered by a newcomer like Inku and refused to participate in the surgery. Dr. Go followed and reminded Dr. Lai not to isolate himself from everyone. This made him think of another side. Chairman Choi called the hospital director to inform him that Dr. Go had come to see his daughter and advised her to temporarily postpone the surgery. Chairman Choi's daughter agreed to wait for a cerebral palsy patient to appear before performing the pancreatic transplant. The director wanted to persuade Chairman Choi, saying he would find a replacement to perform the surgery immediately. Chairman Choi said he didn't need that and hung up. The director felt that Dr. Go was with a thorn in his side. He called the vice director and demanded disciplinary action against Dr. Go because he had told the previous surgery to be done immediately the next day. The director wanted to use this opportunity to completely remove Dr. Go. The next day, the disciplinary committee held a meeting, but Dr. Go, the main character, did not attend because he was on a surgery. The vice director suggested that the meeting begin and the results be announced to Dr. Go later. The director stood up and read a speech, acknowledging Dr. Go's competence and contributions to the transplant center. Similarly, at Sun Lim Hospital, but in the past month, Dr. Go has made 2 mistakes: transplanting a kidney to a prisoner instead of a delegate, resulting in the prisoner wasting a kidney. The second mistake was delaying the surgery of Chairman Choi's daughter, causing her family to transfer her to another hospital, negatively impacting Sun Lim Hospital's reputation. For these reasons, the director proposed suspending Dr. Go. He then instructed everyone to vote. After saying this, the director left first. A triumphant smile bloomed on Dac Thang's face, knowing the outcome beforehand. 17 out of 25 votes in favor of suspending Dr. Go. At this moment, everyone was preparing for the liver transplant surgery. As Mr. Kim was being taken into the operating room, Dr. Lai unexpectedly appeared. He would be in charge of the organ transplant procedure. Therefore, Dr. Go and Inku went into the operating room with Mr. Kim's wife to perform the transplant. In Mr. Kim's room, Dr. Lai successfully removed the damaged liver. In the wife's room, Dr. Go also removed the damaged liver and then placed the new liver. After the liver was completely reattached to his wife's body, Dr. Go proceeded to suture and fix it in place. Once finished, Inku began pumping warm saline solution to restore blood flow. Suddenly, Dr. Go asked Inku to switch places, saying he would be the main surgeon because he felt dizzy during the procedure and feared it would endanger the patient. Inku continued suturing the artery. Dr. Go then asked Inku to check the damaged artery. Inku had already checked it, and the machine confirmed there were no problems. Dr. Go, however, didn't trust the machine and requested, "Inku, try feeling the pulse with your hand. Place your hand on the affected pulse, then close your eyes and slowly feel the pulse flowing normally. This is the last lesson I'll teach you, Dr. Go. Inku, you have keen eyesight, but sometimes you should use your senses to make judgments." Finally, the surgery was more successful than expected. Mr. Kim and his wife were taken to the recovery room. However, the transplant center staff couldn't be happy because Dr. Go had been suspended by the disciplinary committee. Inku was extremely angry. Dr. Lai advised everyone, "Don't act rashly." Inku just silently observed. Dr. Go read the document without much surprise. Suddenly, Jaein pushed the door open and burst in. She couldn't accept her father being suspended for 6 months. She wanted to check on Uncle Kim's condition and invite him to testify. Dr. Go, however, wanted to take this opportunity to rest, telling Jaein not to disturb Uncle Kim so he could recover. No matter what she said, Jaein couldn't shake off her frustration. On the other side, the director was discussing with the vice director about finding a replacement for Dr. Go as director of the transplant center. The vice director questioned, "Isn't it just a suspension?" The hospital director didn't really want to see Dr. Go again, but many of his subordinates respected him, so he couldn't directly request his dismissal. However, the director knew Dr. Go would understand his intention and wouldn't return to the hospital. He knew this was a good opportunity to promote his son, Dr. Lai, to director of the transplant center. After all, he was the most senior person there. The director decided to give Dr. Lai the chance immediately. The vice director then summoned Dr. Lai to his office. He had just promoted his son. The director of the transplant center and vice director wanted Dr. Lai to avoid anything that might tarnish his reputation during this time. However, Dr. Lai was angry that his father, who lacked honor, was taking advantage of Dr. Go's misfortune to fish in troubled waters. Dr. Lai was very disappointed in the vice director. Perhaps he wasn't a good doctor for his son to be proud of. But Dr. Lai hoped his father could retain some integrity. During his time learning alongside Dr. Go, Dr. Lai gradually understood how to become a good doctor loved by everyone. "I respect him. I really don't want to be like my father at all," said Dr. Lai, then turned and left. The vice director, still reeling from his son's cursing, finally came to his senses. That morning, Uncle Kim woke up and wanted to go outside to find his wife, but he accidentally saw the disciplinary notice against Dr. Go. Uncle Kim became agitated, causing his surgical wound to ache again. Dian noticed and immediately led Uncle Kim back to the ward. Uncle Kim knew that Dr. Go was disciplined because of him and wanted to clear his name. Dian advised Uncle Kim to rest first. She helped Uncle Kim lie down to rest. Just then, the nurse announced that the doctor had arrived. Go was looking for Jin after Jin left. Uncle Kim checked his phone and found many threatening messages. Uncle Kim was worried. Suddenly, he received a phone call from an angry broker. "Why did you hang up?" Uncle Kim directly said he would no longer cooperate with him. The broker demanded that Uncle Kim come to see him. Otherwise, he would find Uncle Kim, his wife, and his child within half a day. Uncle Kim cried and begged for his wife and child to be left alone. "Then come here right now while I'm still talking nicely." The broker hung up. Uncle Kim didn't know what to do. What happened next? At this moment, Inku went to check on Uncle Kim's health, but only found a piece of paper he had left behind. Uncle Kim had clearly written the time and place to meet the broker. Inku worriedly ran to find him, calling him, but Uncle Kim didn't answer. Inku then called the police, asking them to come to the designated location to find Uncle Kim. Seeing Inku's hurried demeanor, Inku immediately understood what had happened. She returned to the hospital room and found the piece of paper. Knowing where Inku intended to go, she drove him there. Inku got into the car, and they set off together. Meanwhile, Uncle Kim went to a store to buy a fence. Determined to confront the local traders, he went to the meeting point, a busy intersection. The police were also present. They spotted Captain Kim and decided to observe from a distance. Unexpectedly, Captain Kim received a phone call. It turned out the broker was sitting on the observation deck. He noticed the police were following him and told Captain Kim to follow the police's instructions. Seeing Captain Kim move, he quickly got out of the car and followed. Inku also arrived at the scene and recognized the police who had questioned him. Inu immediately got out of the car and chased after them. In stayed in the car for safety. On the other side, Uncle Kim was being led around in circles by the broker until he suddenly found himself in an alley. He was then knocked unconscious. The broker dragged Uncle Kim inside and closed the rolling door. Although the police had blocked both ends, they were still missing at this point. They split up to search again. Inku followed the police, also extremely confused. After the police left, an ambulance sped out of the alley. Inku recognized it as the car of the currency smugglers. He chased after it but couldn't catch up, so he called Jin and told her to drive to block the entrance to the alley. Jin immediately, following instructions. However, her car was too small. The ambulance could still squeeze past. Inku got into the ambulance and, together with Jin, continued the chase. At night, the two followed the ambulance to a vacant lot where Uncle Kim was being carried away by a group of drug traffickers. Inku knew what had happened to her father was about to be repeated. She told Jin to call the police and then return first. Inku would follow the others alone. Jin was extremely worried and followed Inku's instructions. She reported the location to the police so they could come to his rescue. At that moment, Uncle Kim was taken to a dilapidated old slaughterhouse. The surgeon discovered that Uncle Kim had just undergone surgery, but there were still other things that could be extracted. As he proceeded with the surgery, Inu suddenly appeared and shouted at him to stop. Inu greeted his old acquaintance. Inu angrily said, "Today I will operate. If you don't use anesthesia like I did to Inu's father 15 years ago." Inu gloated, "Let's see who operates whom." The broker and the fat man rushed forward to restrain Inu. He knocked both of them down, shoved a knife into the broker's mouth, then grabbed the fat man's neck, suffocating him. The broker took the opportunity to kick Inu, but he stubbornly refused to let go, instead retaliating, causing him to cough up blood. Seeing that his subordinates couldn't handle the situation, Inku began to feel worried. He gripped the knife tightly in his hand. Today, Inku would bring justice to those who died at the hands of Hyam Boam. He slowly backed away and placed the knife on Uncle Kim's stomach. Inku shouted at him to stop, but the knife still plunged directly into his stomach. Now Inku had to choose between saving Uncle Kim or chasing after Hyam Boam. Would he be a son or uphold his responsibility as a doctor? Inku ran to cover Uncle Kim's wound. Hyam Boam laughed triumphantly and left. Inku took Uncle Kim outside and happened to encounter the police. Inku called an ambulance. The police went inside and arrested the man. Inku would take Uncle Kim to the hospital for treatment. Inside, the man who had just regained consciousness saw the police and tried to escape, but it was too late. The broker tried to resist but was still handcuffed. Both were arrested and taken to the station for trial. Only Hyam Boam escaped. He went back to his base, took all the money, and fled. At this time, Uncle Kim was brought to the hospital and accidentally encountered the spokesperson. The hospital staff caught him and remembered he was Hien Fan, introduced to Chairman Choi by the hospital director. The spokesperson immediately called the director, who anxiously rushed to the operating room. Dr. Go was also there. The director wanted to know what was going on. Surely he knew better than anyone else. Dr. Go didn't bother to speak to the director, standing up and leaving. Suddenly, the spokesperson received a call from the police. They claimed someone at Sunun Lim Hospital was involved in a currency trading ring and wanted to come in for questioning. Simultaneously, they took statements from two witnesses present at the scene, Inku and Jin. The director wondered why these two were there. Even the spokesperson was stumped, so the director let him leave. Afterward, he called someone to handle the situation. At this time, the broker was in the interrogation room. He wouldn't answer any questions. They had to wait for Inku to finish his surgery and then take him and Jin to the station for questioning. Unexpectedly, an old lawyer opened the door and entered, claiming to be the broker's lawyer. He dismissed the police and closed the door. "Do as I say," the broker said. He wanted to know who sent the lawyer, but the lawyer wouldn't tell him. "Just obey me and you won't go to jail," the broker agreed. "But first, I want to make a phone call," the lawyer agreed. "Call Hung Boam and inform him of my situation. He probably thinks the lawyer was sent by VIPs," Hung Boam guessed. "He's afraid they'll reveal the secret," Hung Boam suggested to the broker. "Ask for some money and make sure you're rescued from jail," he instructed. After hanging up the phone, Inku and Jae-in drove off in the morning. They arrived at the police station and recounted what had happened the previous night. After the police finished their work, they were allowed to leave. Before leaving, the officer had one question. When could they question Uncle Kim? Inku asked them to wait a while until Uncle Kim had fully recovered. At that moment, Jae-in wondered about the situation of the two organ traffickers arrested the previous night. Unexpectedly, they both confessed. The police found it strange. At first, both men denied everything, but after meeting with their lawyer, they immediately admitted their guilt. Inku asked about the lawyer, and the police remembered him. That was a lawyer from a large hospital. Then Inku and Jin set off on their way back. Jin wondered why they confessed so easily. They might have been paid to do it. After Inku's explanation, Jin understood how organ traffickers operate. They are willing to confess to cover up for their allies. Outsiders use money and connections to get people out of prison. It's called a symbiotic relationship. Back at the hospital, Inku explained again to Dr. Go that only with concrete evidence can organ traffickers be arrested. Such crimes mean they have to look for clues in successful organ trafficking cases. But most of the donor records brought to the hospital use fake identities. How can they find them? Suddenly, Dee remembered that before the representative performed the organ donation surgery, he had spoken with the old prisoner and his son. He had performed another kidney transplant. However, the kidney couldn't function in the new host, so the representative had to perform the surgery again. At that time, Jay was the caregiver for the organ donor. She discovered that he was preparing for the civil service exam. Jay also kept some of his belongings. When he was hospitalized, he had a student ID card belonging to Hayu. Initially, Jae-in didn't understand why it was different from Hayu's name, but now he knows Hayu was using a fake name. Jae-in searched the school's name online and went there with Inku to find him, but when they asked the students, none of them knew anything about Hayu. Jae-in went to see the manager, and luckily she realized Hayu wasn't a student but just a janitor at the school. They were directed to room 205, but it was empty. Just as they were about to give up and go back, someone approached. Jae-in immediately recognized them. "This is the person we need to find." Both of them led Hunu to a cafe to talk. Inu directly took out a picture of the broker. "Do you recognize this person?" Hunu recalled the transaction between him and the broker. If the secret was revealed, his mother and sister would be in danger. Hunu's worried expression couldn't be hidden from Inku. He directly exposed Hunu. "Are you afraid it will affect your civil service exam?" Hunu admitted. Inku then told him about his condition. A kidney donor, if not regularly checked at the hospital, his health would. His memory was deteriorating day by day, and even if he took the exam, he couldn't pass. In contrast, the wicked currency traffickers, even when caught, were well-fed and slept soundly in prison, and would soon be released. Wasn't that incredibly unfair to Inu? Inu wanted Inu to stand up for justice and make the criminals pay the price. Inu began to urge Inu to go to the hospital for a health check and get a proper answer. Afterward, Inu led G back to another place, where Dr. Lai was accompanied by members of the transplant center. They went to ask the director to withdraw the disciplinary order against Dr. Go. Everyone signed the minutes of the vote, unanimously requesting the director to revoke the disciplinary decision. The director pretended to be moved by the unity of the members, saying that this matter was beyond his authority. He promised everyone that he would ask the disciplinary committee to reconsider. Dr. Lai bowed in thanks and led everyone away. Afterwards, the director called the vice director and told him that his son had just done a good deed. Dr. Lai led the group to ask the director to withdraw the disciplinary order against Dr. Go. The vice director, extremely angry, went to confront his son and reprimand him. That evening, the vice director discovered Dr. Go carrying a box out of the archives. He went in and asked the staff what Dr. Go had just taken. It was the history of the Sunlim Hospital. Knowing Dr. Go was investigating something, the vice director immediately reported it to the director. The director became bewildered. He asked the vice director if all the problematic documents had been dealt with. The vice director assured him that everything was fine. The director instructed the vice director to keep a close eye on Dr. Go and eliminate all problematic documents. Regarding the VIP issue, the vice director immediately nodded. That morning, everyone saw on the notice board that the disciplinary decision against Dr. Go had been overturned. Everyone was happy, and Inu wanted to congratulate Jin, but suddenly she received a phone call about a new patient, so she had to leave. The two would meet again later. Meanwhile, Inu went to examine Uncle Kim and discovered the police were preparing to take him away. They had an arrest warrant. Uncle Kim was charged with illegal organ trafficking. Inku wanted to check on Uncle Kim one last time, and the police agreed. At that moment, Uncle Kim wanted to apologize to Inu for what had happened, but Inku insisted he wasn't at fault after checking and changing Uncle Kim's bandages. Inku instructed the police to change the bandages and give him an injection on time. The police agreed and took Uncle Kim away. Suddenly, Uncle Kim remembered something. While he was being held captive by the drug traffickers, he overheard their conversation. The fat man said that Hyung Bwom wanted to go to a place called Kai Hok Dang, a piece of information that was extremely useful to Inku. That night, Inku went to the police station and asked to see the trafficker. He wanted to know where Hyung Bwom was. The trafficker thought Inku had a problem. "Do you think I would betray my brothers?" Inu produced evidence to incriminate the broker. "If you don't speak up, he'll rot in prison." It turned out Inu was the one who obtained the video recording of the broker poisoning the prisoner, along with the kidnapped girl who testified as a witness, plus the audio recording of the broker saying he would take the girl's internal organs. This was enough to send him to life imprisonment. At this point, the broker began to fear for his life. He tried to steal the USB drive, but Inu gave him two choices: continue being a henchman for Hyung Bwom, or side with them. Actually, even if the broker hadn't said anything, Inu would have known where Hyung Bwom had gone, but he didn't know what Hyung Bwom was looking for there. Inu tried to pry information out of the broker, saying that he had been betrayed by his accomplices and Hyung Bwom wouldn't save him. Inu even lent the broker his phone so he could call and confirm with Hyung Bwom. The result was that Hyung Bwom didn't answer. Inu gave the broker a final choice: him or Hyung Bwom. After thinking for a while, he told Inu that Hyung Bwom had gone to Kai Hok to search for the graves of a Park family. Knowing this, Inu handed the USB drive to the police and set off. The broker, who had been tricked, was furious and cursed at Inku, but now he couldn't escape his cage. Meanwhile, Hyung Bwom went to the ATM to withdraw money. He boldly pressed 1 billion, thinking that VIP had transferred the money to make the broker take the blame. But the account didn't have enough money. realizing VIP had tricked him. Hai Ung-bom was extremely angry and decided to retaliate. He then called the chief prosecutor. Hai Ung-bom repeated the prisoner's words when he was stabbed. "Did you order him to handle this?" The cunning chief prosecutor tried to cover it up, but Hai Ung-bom wasn't easily fooled. He gave the chief prosecutor a hard time. Knowing he possessed a list of those involved in local currency trading, the broker meticulously recorded every transaction when the director requested his services. Using this list to threaten and coerce the director into transferring 1 billion, Hung-bom, now cornered and not knowing what he might do next, had no choice but to accept. Hung-bom immediately withdrew the money and hid it in his personal locker. He needed to do one more thing before fleeing. At this moment, Inu arrived at the branch office. This was a cemetery. Inu searched around and finally found the grave of the Park family. They dug up the grave and discovered 6 urns containing ashes. But unexpectedly, they were full of money and solid gold. Suddenly, Inku noticed Hai Ung-bom was there and immediately rushed towards him. Hai Ung-bom also recognized Inku's presence and launched an electric attack, intending to strike him. However, with his special eyesight, Inku easily dodged the attack and knocked Hai Ung-bom down. The two began to exchange moves. Unexpectedly, besides being a skilled doctor, Inku's martial arts skills were also quite good. He quickly gained the upper hand. Seeing he was losing, Hai Ung-bom tried to escape, but Inku grabbed him. He pinned him down and relentlessly delivered blows to his mouth, inflicting precise damage, causing Inu to explode with rage and blood to spill everywhere. Inku, enraged, sought revenge for the victims, those powerless and penniless people struggling to survive in this world, yet you turned them into tools for making money. Inku, still trying to smile, uttered provocative words. Taking advantage of Inku's distraction, he picked up the stone intending to use it again to tease him 15 years ago, but this time Inu was very alert. There was no way he could hit him easily. Inu picked up the stone again, and only then did Inku desperately beg for mercy. Despite Inku's mother's pleas, he still decided to strike, the blow missing Hung-bom's head by just 1 centimeter. Inku wanted to force him to confess to the victims, so he called the police on his phone. Hung-bom, waiting for that opportunity, kicked Inku, sending him tumbling down the slope and rendering him unconscious. Inku was too naive in the face of this cunning old fox. Afterwards, Hung-bom returned to the grave, but the money and gold in the jar were gone. Inu had hidden them. Hung-bom searched around but couldn't find them. Enraged, he shouted, determined to find Inku and settle the score. Just then, the police arrived at the scene. Hung-bom could only temporarily flee before the police chased after him. Hung-bom had to hide in a sewer like a dog with its tail between its legs. It's a pity the police couldn't find him. That morning, the money Hung-bom had hidden was taken to a Korean organ transplant organization. Inku wanted to use it to help patients who couldn't afford the transplant fees. Inku also secretly paid for all of Uncle Kim's wife's transplant fees. Only the intelligent boy knew that Inku was the one helping the family. The news quickly spread, with media outlets wholeheartedly praising the mysterious philanthropist. Only Hai Ung-bom knew the money belonged to him. Hai Ung-bom hated Inku to the core. He took out his phone and called the director. Hai Ung-bom wanted to return the ledger to him because he had received 1 billion won. Hai Ung-bom would send the director his location and ask him to bring more money in exchange for a secret. Hai Ung-bom revealed that the son of the victim from 15 years ago was right next to the director. If he wanted to know who that person was, he should bring the money. The director immediately drove up. At that moment, Dr. Go was meeting with Inku and Dr. Lai. He had an announcement. From now on, Dr. Go would no longer be the main surgeon. Instead, he would stand aside and guide younger generations to develop their skills. Dr. Lai and Inku were 2 promising talents at the transplant center, and one of them would replace Dr. Go. Dr. Lai had no objections and stood up to leave. Only then did Inku question whether Dr. Go had an illness that prevented him from continuing to perform surgery on patients. Dr. Go denied it, saying he only wanting to find someone he could entrust with future responsibilities. Dr. Go returned to his office. His work had another purpose. Dr. Go wanted to focus on investigating the secrets of Sunlam Hospital. He accidentally found an article mentioning a 2007 organ transplant surgery for the Prime Minister, but when he checked the computer records, there was no data on the organ donor. It's possible the donor's records were falsified. Illegal organ trafficking had been going on since 2007. Dr. Go called Jae-in to ask for help finding information about the collaborating organization. Transplants have been performed at Sunlim Hospital since 2007. She immediately agreed. Another party, the hospital director and Hung Bom, met. One side exchanged money, the other handed over a notebook. Hung Bom also provided information about the person he mentioned on the phone. The director immediately recognized Inku. Hung Bom recounted all of Inku's actions. The director sensed that Inku was a dangerous person. If they weren't careful, all their secrets would be exposed. Hung Bom wanted more money, promising to resolve Inku's situation for the director. But how? Hung Bom immediately answered. The director's problem was that he was INQ's superior and could send him to Hyam Bom's place. The rest would be left to him. The director thought about it and would contact Hyam Bom. Unexpectedly, their meeting was photographed by someone. Who could this person be? That evening, Dr. Go was driving home when he suddenly felt dizzy and lightheaded. Unfortunately, the medicine he always carried ran out. Just in time, Dr. Go managed to call for help before passing out. He was then taken to the hospital for a checkup. But he had no prior medical history of any illness, so she called Jin for help. Knowing her father was in the emergency room, Jin quickly left his post. Just then, Inku passed by and wanted to go with him to see Dr. Go. They entered the ward and were told that Dr. Go had a high fever, was dehydrated, and had signs of convulsions. Inku went to check on him. Suddenly, he remembered that Dr. Go had used a certain medication. Inku rushed to his office and found a bottle of Parkinson's disease medication. He immediately informed Jin and asked her to call the neurology department, as Dr. Go was having problems. After hanging up the phone, Inku accidentally discovered the investigation documents that Dr. Go had placed on his desk. He had found 2 suspects who might be VIPs of the foreign currency trading organization. Dr. Go was out of critical condition. The neurologist wanted Jae-in outside to talk. He told Jae-in that Dr. Go's Parkinson's disease had been discovered 8 months ago. He didn't want to tell Jae-in because he was afraid she would worry. Dr. Go didn't want to cause his daughter suffering because 15 years ago, he was the one who abandoned Jae-in. In fact, Dr. Go deeply regretted his actions and always wanted to make amends to Jae-in, but she refused to accept his feelings. After hearing this, Jin was filled with regret. The neurologist left so she could cry alone, but just then Inu appeared. He sat down beside her and offered her a handkerchief to wipe away her tears. After Jin calmed down, they talked about their father. Inu told Jin that Dr. Go had adopted the 2 siblings because he saw that Inu's younger sister resembled his sick daughter who was living abroad. Dr. Go always thought of Jin. Finally, she understood her father's feelings. After comforting Jin, Inu returned to Dr. Go's room to continue her research. During a surprise investigation, Inu received a call from Hunu. Feeling unwell, he recounted his condition to Inu, who realized it was a symptom of acute kidney failure. Inu immediately set off for Hunu's house. Upon arriving, he knocked on the door of room 202. Luckily, Hunu still had the strength to open the door, but then he collapsed. Inu quickly took Hunu to the hospital. After examination, the doctor discovered that Hunu's kidney function only lasted for 30 minutes. Hunu honestly replied that he had donated his other kidney to someone else. The doctor had to keep Hunu at home. After being monitored at the hospital for a while, Hunu and Inu accidentally overheard a representative who had received an organ transplant at Sunlim Hospital giving a speech calling for a crackdown on the illegal trading of Korean currency. Hunu was furious. The very representative who had bought one of his organs was now hypocritically trying to boost his own reputation. Hunu remembered Inu's previous offer to testify against the authorities, and Inu promised not to betray his trust. Meanwhile, Hunu angrily returned to his hiding place. He took all the money and went to meet a man to rent a car. After getting into the car, Hung Bom called someone who needed to buy organs. He would bring a heart. He asked the person to immediately prepare the money. Then Hung Bom went to meet a chef who used to work in the drug ring but had now retired. Hung Bom wanted to team up with him to carry out a plan. The profit would be enough for the chef to open 10 more restaurants. But when Hung Bom said that this time he would take a heart, the chef hesitated. He could give him other organs instead. Giving someone a chance at life by taking their heart would inevitably mean killing them. The chef didn't want to go to jail. However, with persistent persuasion and the allure of money, the chef was quickly seduced. At this time, Hunu was going to the police station to report the crimes of inhumane people. The next day, A team of inspectors arrived at Sun Lim Hospital to collect evidence of illegal organ trafficking. The director just sat silently, letting them do their work. Everyone was talking excitedly. Upon hearing the news, Hunu immediately wanted to meet the director too. Dan Hai asked her father what had happened. She went to the office and found the director sitting there, looking distraught. She helped her father clean up the mess. The director wanted to take his daughter out to eat so they could have a chance to talk in the dining room. The director suggested Dan Hai return to Germany to continue her passion for music. Dan Hai disagreed because it was her father who forced her to give up music and become a doctor. Dan Hai reminded him of her mother's aspirations from 15 years ago. If she had been a doctor then, she could have saved her mother's life. Now, she felt she had to save even more people because she knew there were many patients who needed her. The director still, he strongly advised his daughter about morality because he didn't want to see Dan Hai suffer in the hospital. Meanwhile, Jae-in brought information about the transplant cooperation unit that her father had asked her to investigate earlier to Dr. Go. She discovered something unusual. A female coordinator at that transplant center had a background that matched that of the vice director. Both started and left the transplant center at the same time. Jae-in helped Dr. Go obtain the coordinator's phone number, and he immediately called her to schedule an appointment. Dr. Go then went to the coordinator's house. However, she then reported this to the vice president, who instructed the coordinator not to open the door for Dr. Go. The vice president then told the president that Dr. Go might have investigated something, and if they weren't careful, all their illegal activities would be exposed by Dr. Go. The president devised a plan to shift all the blame for the currency trading onto Dr. Go. The vice president thought this was a good idea, and the two old men began plotting together. Afterward, the president called and arranged a meeting with Dr. Go. He would reveal the truth. The truth begins 15 years ago. Dr. Go, unsuspecting, went to the meeting place alone. Unexpectedly, a car deliberately crashed into him. The driver was the hospital director. Dr. Go was hit but still somewhat conscious. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was Jae-in calling. Dr. Go tried to reach for it. The director, seeing that he was still alive, reversed the car and ran over Jae-in again. Jae-in saw that her father didn't answer but didn't suspect anything. Later, while she was working, she received news that Dr. Go had been in an accident and was in the emergency room. She and Inku immediately rushed there to check on the situation. This is to let both of you know that Dr. Go has suffered severe brain damage and can no longer breathe on his own. I want everyone to prepare themselves. I collapsed beside my father's hospital bed, unable to hold back my tears because Dr. Go has brain damage and his body will be donated to the hospital. This is the last thing the doctors will do after death. I am in immense pain having to sign the donation decision. The next day, while cleaning Dr. Go's office, Jin gives Inku the donation registration form that his sister had signed 15 years ago. That day, Dr. Go also signed the oath of organ donation. He did so to encourage courage in his younger sister, Inku. Now, he understands Dr. Go's intentions. Later, the two went outside and accidentally saw a news report. Dr. Go had become the mastermind behind the illegal organ trafficking at Sun Hospital. The police found evidence in Dr. Go's car. In was extremely surprised. All of this was orchestrated by the hospital director. He cleverly pulled the hospital out of the picture, shifting all the blame onto Dr. Go alone. The news was filled with exclamations. The director finally knows how to use his brain. He called the director, saying, "Your matter is settled, now it's our turn." Hung Buom demanded 1 billion for the heart. Initially, the director refused, but suddenly another plan popped into his head. The director changed his mind and agreed with Hung Buom. They arranged to meet the next day for the transaction. Meanwhile, Inku and Jae-in went to the police station to request a reinvestigation of Dr. Go's case. However, the police presented evidence along with 200 million. The evidence found in Dr. Go's car was enough to convict him. Inku knew the evidence was fabricated but couldn't refute it. He led Jae-in outside. Jae-in suspected, could my father be the real mastermind? She had been abroad for 15 years. Perhaps Dr. Go had changed, but during that time, Inku was the one by his side. She was certain Dr. Go would never do such a thing. Actually, Jae-in also believed her father. She wanted someone who shared her beliefs. However, it wasn't just Inku. Everyone working at the transplant center also trusted Dr. Go and Dr. Lai. It was argued that the key wasn't the evidence the police found, but rather Dr. Go's timely intervention, which prevented him from exonerating Dr. Lai. Dr. Lai claimed the accident was also staged. He ordered everyone to find the killer of Dr. Go. Go, falsifying documents, promised the hospital director that he would replace the spokesperson to take care of the family and would give him 10 times his salary after being released on bail. The maximum sentence for forging documents is only 1 year in prison. The spokesperson decided to agree. At this time, Inku arrived at the scene of Dr. Go's accident. Why did he go to such a remote place? He must have an appointment with someone. There was only one restaurant here. Inku approached and asked the manager. Unexpectedly, when he introduced himself as being from Sunlam Hospital, the manager immediately showed Inku a room, the VIP room that the director and vice director used. Inku wondered about on the day of the accident. Did anyone at the hospital book a VIP room? The manager confirmed no. Inku was extremely confused. Who arranged for Dr. Go to come here that evening? Inku returned to the hospital. Sun Lim accidentally noticed the spokesperson's strange expression. Inku stopped to observe him. Unexpectedly, the spokesperson was taken away by the police for being an accomplice in the currency trading case and forging documents. The director and vice director celebrated together because someone had taken the blame. The director made a proposal to have the vice director's son replace Dr. Go as director of the transplant center. The vice director intended to refuse Dr. Lai, saying he was too young and inexperienced. The director was displeased. Wasn't he the one who wanted his son in that position last time? Was he afraid? The vice director didn't dare reply, deciding to follow the director's arrangement. At this moment, In and Inku arrived at the ward and accidentally overheard the patient's discussions about her father's crime. In couldn't hear and walked away, while Inku chased after her to comfort her, saying, "It's okay." She only saw, disappointed that her father, a man who always devoted himself wholeheartedly to his patients, was now being ridiculed by others even after his death. Inku felt relieved knowing that Din was all right. However, she then hid in a corner to ponder. Meanwhile, Inku went outside and happened to meet Don Hai. Knowing that he intended to go home, Don Hai offered to give him a ride, but they accidentally bumped into the hospital director. The director suspected Inku of approaching his daughter with ulterior motives, so he quickly pulled Don Hai aside. Inu went to greet the director, but he quickly pulled his daughter away. Inku noticed that the director was acting suspiciously. On the way home, Don Hai wondered about his attitude. The director had just warned his daughter not to get too close to Inku, but Don Hai had a special feeling for him from the first time they met. The director angrily told his daughter to obey him, saying that adults shouldn't argue. Meanwhile, Inku returned home. The last mysterious person on his list was Director Hai Un Buom and his gang of henchmen, who were also the ones who killed Inku's father and took his organs. The vice director was the one who performed the transplant surgery. Thanks to this, he quickly rose through the ranks. Inku's final question was, what is this important character? What kind of situation would make the director order Dr. Jin's father to save that person's life? On the other side, Jin was on her way home when she unexpectedly received a call from an old doctor, a former senior of Dr. Go, who wanted Jin to meet him in his office. He told Jin that her father had already arrived. Dr. Go suspected Director Jin of being involved in an organ-trafficking ring at Sunlim Hospital 15 years ago. The director's wife died of heart disease, and his daughter also inherited the condition, leading to dilated blood vessels in her heart. Dr. Go stated his suspicions. Suspicious of the old doctor, the hospital director began buying and selling internal currency. He instructed someone to steal the team's transplant for his daughter to save the people. From then on, he continuously carried out these currency trading transactions for the past 15 years. After returning from the old doctor's place, Jay asked someone to investigate the matter. While still working on her father's case that morning, the director went to Inku Hospital and began monitoring him. He memorized the director's license plate and secretly attached a GPS tracker to the car. At the same time, the director called Dr. Lai to his office and offered him the position of director of the transplant center. Dr. Lai disagreed. No one could replace Dr. Go. The director advised Dr. Lai to think carefully because in that position, he could save many lives, including the vice director. Dr. Lai secretly understood that the director was trying to threaten him by using his father. After leaving the director's office, Dr. Lai immediately went to see his father. Hearing his son's report about what had just happened, the vice director's face turned pale. Dr. Lai wanted to know what his father was hiding. Did his father know about Dr. Go's accident? The vice director didn't want to reveal it. He was afraid his son would worry. However, Dr. Lai, Lai still decided to investigate on his own. The deputy director advised his son not to get too deeply involved in the case. After saying that, he angrily left, making Dr. Lai even more suspicious. Later, Dr. Lai returned to the transplant center, only to find that the director had issued a decision appointing him as the director. Everyone was extremely displeased. They looked at Dr. Lai with hateful eyes, but he didn't want to sit in this position either. Seeing Dr. Lai's unhappy attitude, Dian understood the situation and encouraged him to try his best to do the assigned task. Dr. Lai felt relieved. Just then, the director arrived at the transplant center. He wanted Jayan to come to his office. The director gave Jayan some money as a condolence gift for Dr. Go. However, since her father had caused such a mess, the director suggested that Jayan write her resignation letter. She refused the money, saying she would think about it later. Jayan stood up and left immediately. The director showed contempt, thinking, those lowly people still cling to their pride. That evening, after the director left the hospital, Jayan noticed. He was moving quickly, so Inku hailed a taxi and chased after them. Inku told the driver to wait and went inside alone. Inside was an abandoned hospital. Inku discovered the hospital director meeting with Hyam Buom. They wanted to use this place for surgery to extort money. The director feared for his safety, but Hyam Buom didn't care. He only wanted the money. After they left, Inku continued to observe. The director led Hyam Buom to the car and gave him the money, but the amount was less than agreed upon. Hyam Buom was dissatisfied and took out some photos. It turned out, when they made their last transaction, Hyam Buom had someone take pictures. If the director broke his promise, these pictures would be immediately uploaded online. What would happen if his daughter found out? Hyam Buom threatened to call the people. The director, enraged, grabbed him by the shirt. So, are you going to give me the rest of the money? The director reluctantly agreed, promising to pay tomorrow. Hyam Buom threw the pictures back at the director and got out of the car. The director immediately drove away. After that, Hyam Buom called a taxi to pick up Inku and told the driver to turn off the lights, then chase after him. Later, Inku arrived at an English game arcade and discovered that only the driver was with him. Buom. The driver had disappeared. Inku found a game console nearby, sat down, and recorded the driver's conversation on his phone. It turned out Hung Bung had asked him to find a fake surgeon to deceive the hospital director. However, the person the driver wanted to meet had just been arrested and imprisoned for injecting silicone to enlarge a woman's breasts. The driver, furious, left. Inku continued to follow him to a motel, where he unexpectedly received a call from Jin. The person Jin asked to investigate sent her a document about a transplant team from 15 years ago. Jin suspected it was another illegal transplant. The patient was a dirty RHA blood type, and the transplant was performed in January 2002. Hearing this, Jin was extremely angry, because that was also the time when the internal medicine gang was investigating his father. On the other hand, after taking office, Dr. Lai found articles that Dr. Lai had collected before, all related to murder and currency trafficking. Dr. Lai accidentally discovered. Currently, the victim in the case has the same surname as Inku. Dr. Lai checks Inku's records and discovers that the person is his father. At the same time, Dr. Lai realizes Inku's purpose in going to Sai Oang prison was to seek revenge. Dr. Lai carefully pieces together everything. Inku's father was murdered to have his organs extracted in January 2002. His group was RHA. Dr. Lai remembers a surgery performed on a civilian during this time. Just then, Don H came in to congratulate Dr. Lai on his appointment, but Dr. Lai asked Don H which group she belonged to. Unexpectedly, Don H was also an RHA doctor. Dr. Lai became even more certain of his suspicion that Inku's father's heart had been transplanted into Don Hai's body. Dr. Lai excused himself, saying he had important business to attend to. Then, Dr. Lai went straight to the vice director and revealed his findings. He wanted Inku's father to stop hiding the truth because the vice director was the one who performed the transplant. The vice director admitted that he didn't know where the heart came from at the time and had been forced by the director. If the vice director didn't perform the surgery, he would lose both his heart and Don Hai. Dr. Lai felt ashamed. That was still a surgery my father shouldn't have done. Dr. Lai always wondered why my father gave up on the surgery, but now he finally understands the reason. When the vice director agreed to perform the surgery that day, he had completely lost his qualification to be a doctor. At this time, Inku returned to the hospital. He urgently went to find Dohee, but she wasn't at work. Dohee arranged a private meeting with Jae-in to ask about her heart transplant surgery. Jae-in wondered if Dohee knew who the heart donor was. However, neither the patient nor the surgeon would know the name. The donor's temperament was such that unless it was a family member, Inku quickly approached the two. Noticing his presence, Inku's face darkened with anger. Inku stepped forward to stop him, saying, "Now is not the time to tell Don-hye the truth. She knows nothing about the donated heart from 15 years ago. Furthermore, there are no clear investigation results yet. A biopsy is needed to be certain." That's Inku's father's team. Inku led Inku away. Don-hye didn't understand what was happening. After entering the room, Inku showed Inku the results of her investigation. This is just confidential information sent from an acquaintance who used to be a doctor at Sunlim Hospital. There are no records of Dan-hye's surgery in the database. Therefore, it cannot be confirmed that the heart belongs to Inku's father. However, if Dan-hye had a heart transplant, she would have undergone regular checkups. Knowing where she went for checkups might provide a clue, as a biopsy would require removing Dan-hye's heart tissue, so it would only be used as a last resort. Inku thinks that if she told Dan-hye the truth, she would agree to a biopsy. Agreeing with Jin's approach, he unexpectedly received a phone call from Dr. Lai. Dr. Lai wanted to speak with Inku. He said goodbye and left, then went to Dr. Lai's office. There, Dr. Lai got straight to the point. "Why are you working at Sunlim Hospital?" Inku asked, "I want to save people." Dr. Lai changed the subject. "Did you go to the abandoned prison to take revenge on the man who killed your father? Now you're at Sunlim Hospital to achieve that goal." Inku wondered. Dr. Lai already knew what he was up to. He replied, "I know you're here. Hospitals work not only to save lives." Inku admits he wants revenge for his father. The person who instigated his biological father 15 years ago is now targeting his adoptive father, Dr. Go. Dr. Lai advises Inku not to act impulsively because what he does could harm others. However, if Inku doesn't catch the person behind these events, how many more people will be harmed? Dr. Lai is speechless. Inku turns his back and leaves. That evening, Inku returns to the abandoned hospital. He wants evidence to expose the crimes of the currency smugglers, but he has to do it himself.
Inku installs a camera.
Along with listening devices throughout the hospital, the next day, through the security camera, Inku discovered Hung Boom and his gang discussing finding a surgeon along with a victim. If his gang couldn't find Hung Boom, they would put him on the operating table. Later, Hung Boom called the hospital director, arranging a meeting at 2 p.m. the next day to collect the remaining money. A plan formed in the director's mind. He wanted to eliminate Hung Boom. At that moment, Inku received a call from the emergency room about a patient with appendicitis. Inku immediately went to assist, inadvertently being seen by Dr. Lai, who immediately ran away. Because Don-hye was working there, Inku went to examine a patient when Dr. Lai unexpectedly appeared. He wanted to replace Inku, and Inku agreed and left. Don-hye didn't understand what was happening. After examining the patient, Dr. Lai suggested an appendectomy, and then he followed Inku. The two went outside to talk. Inku wondered if Dr. Lai was afraid Don-hye would be hurt if he knew all the secrets. He didn't deny that he wanted to protect Don-hye. Dr. Lai asked Inku to stop what he was doing immediately. However, he couldn't let wrongdoing go unchecked because of one person. The director's resentment was so strong that he couldn't let Dr. Go be wrongly accused. It was better for one person to be hurt than for many to be harmed. The two disagreed and couldn't continue talking. Inku was about to leave when he encountered Jae-in. Dr. Lai had to go ahead. Jae-in asked Inku what was wrong, but he didn't want to reveal it and went inside. Later, Inku and Dr. Lai met before the appendectomy. Dr. Lai reconsidered whether he should focus on the woman he loved or on Dr. Go and the victims. Dr. Lai couldn't sit still. Wanting to cooperate with Inku in the investigation, all he had to do was keep it a secret from Inku. Inku said that this was very dangerous, but Dr. Lai wanted to bravely face it. One evening, Dr. Lai went to a bar and pretended to overhear a conversation between a henchman named Hyam Boam. He claimed to be a surgeon from a hospital who had been fired for gambling addiction and was now desperately in need of money, willing to do anything for it. The henchman, seeing this as a treasure, immediately called Hyam Boam to report. Inku witnessed this and knew the fish had bitten the bait. Later, Dr. Lai went to. Inu told him that Hung Boam would call to arrange the surgery. Dr. Lai needed to inform Inu in advance. He wondered if Inu would be there with the police. Unexpectedly, Inu already knew who the organ traffickers were targeting. This time it was him. Hung Buom was desperate to settle the score with Inku to protect the evidence. Inku decided to make himself the evidence. Dr. Lai felt this was too dangerous, but it was the only way to expose their crimes. Hung Buom certainly wouldn't want to go to jail alone. He would drag the mastermind down with him. Later, the two returned to the hospital together and were accidentally caught by Jin. Knowing that Inku and Dr. Lai were doing something, Jin wanted to ask Inku for clarification. Clearly, he didn't intend to reveal it, but this matter involved Jin's father, and she also wanted to know. Inku couldn't hide it anymore. Dr. Lai already knew everything he had done and wanted to help. Jin also wanted to participate, as it was too dangerous for her. However, Inku had another matter he wanted Jin's help with. The next day, Hai's henchman drove to an empty plot of land. Bum asked him to go see the director to get money, but unexpectedly, the person who was acting as his henchman was a professional assassin hired by the director to deal with him. Bum, the henchman was attacked unexpectedly and couldn't react in time. The assassin then stabbed him several more times in the stomach before disposing of his body on the grass. Unbeknownst to him, Bum was watching from the side, ignoring his henchman's life. In fact, Bum had already predicted the director's betrayal. He was smug. Watching the assassin leave, he then went to check on his henchman's body. Bum pretended to be righteous, assuring him that he would get revenge. That night, Hyung Buom followed Don Hai in his car until she arrived home. Only then did he act. Hyung Buom pretended to be drunk and rushed into Don Hai's car. While she was getting her first aid kit to check him, Hyung Buom carefully covered her face with a mask and knocked Don Hai unconscious. She struggled, but it was hopeless. Don Hai was thrown into the car and taken away. Meanwhile, the vice director went to see the director. Although the director's character wasn't good, he still loved his son very much. He warned the director that if he dared harm Dr. Lai, his daughter would find out the truth. If your son is important, so is mine. The director saw this as a threat. But the vice director denied it. What threat? Two wicked people meeting in the middle of a ship. The vice director realized his mistake and went outside. The vice director met his son and told Dr. Lai that from now on, the director would not make things difficult for Dr. Lai's son. Dr. Lai could do whatever he wanted. What he wanted now was to correct his father's past mistakes. Dr. Lai didn't want to be like the vice director. The director was very upset after hearing this. Inu took Hyung Buom to the abandoned hospital. Inu observed through the camera but couldn't clearly see who the kidnapper was. Suddenly, Inu saw Hyung Buom calling someone. His phone also received a call. Hyung Buom wanted Inku to come and meet him and return the money he had taken from him. Otherwise, his father's heart would stop beating forever. Inku was determined to meet Hyung Buom, but he felt confused by his words. Only when he received a message did Inku realize that the person Hyung Buom had kidnapped was actually Du Hai. Inku hurriedly set off. Inku called Jin. Everything was ready. Now she could act. Jin immediately went to Inku's place to get the tablet to send the video to the police. Upon receiving the report, the police immediately set off. Meanwhile, Dr. Lai picked Inku up, and the two went to the abandoned hospital. In the car, Inku told Dr. Lai the shocking news. Dohee had been kidnapped by Hyun Buom. Dr. Lai wanted to report it to the police, but that would put Dohee in even more danger. Inku suggested they stick to the plan. He would keep Hai occupied while Dr. Lai took Jin H away first. Dr. Lai worried. "What about you?" Inku asked Jin for help. The police were alerted, and they would quickly come to his rescue. Dr. Lai also felt more at ease. Both sped to the abandoned hospital. Meanwhile, the hospital director received a call from Hung Buom. Seeing that he was still alive, the director was extremely surprised. Hung Buom taunted him, saying his assassin had killed someone. Hung Buom had a gift for the director. Upon seeing his daughter, the director was furious. If he had kept his word, this wouldn't have happened. The director panicked and asked for Hung Buom's location so he could personally bring the money, but Hung Buom, Bum no longer trusted the director. He demanded that the money be transferred to Dan Hai's account, M times the old amount. The director immediately complied. Bum threatened him, saying that if he saw the police or investigators, he would take back the heart he had stolen from someone else for his daughter. Bum hung up. The director quickly logged into his bank account and transferred 1 billion, not missing a single zero, to him, then hurried to save his daughter. Meanwhile, Inku and Dr. Lai had arrived at the abandoned hospital. Dr. Lai wanted to go in first to check on Dan Hai's situation, but Inku, he wanted him to follow the plan. He would go in first because Hai Ung-Bwom's target was him. Then Inu went into the hospital. Hai Ung-Bwom was waiting, so he rushed out and electrocuted him, rendering him unconscious. He placed Inu on the operating table. Inu sat beside him, terrified. Hai Ung-Bwom approached and told Inu the truth. Inu's father's heart was inside Inu. Inu's father was the one who had asked him to kill Inu's father to save his daughter. Inu was so shocked that he fainted. Outside, Dr. Lai was still waiting. It was 12:50 p.m., 10 minutes before the surgery. Hai Ung-Bwom called, confirming where Dr. Lai was. He said he would arrive on time. Ung-Bwom seemed extremely pleased. Then Dr. Lai got out of the car and went into the abandoned hospital. Ung-Bwom went to meet him. Dr. Lai was led into the operating room. Upon seeing the unconscious patient, Dr. Lai excitedly rushed to check on him. Ung-Bwom noticed something strange about him but didn't have time to worry. He quickly urged Dr. Lai to perform the surgery first. Dr. Lai tried to stall for time while waiting for the police to arrive. He kept washing his hands and demanding to administer anesthesia to Inku, but the opportunity to check the anesthesia machine was real. It took a long time because Inku had previously used some tricks to drug him. Everything inside had been replaced. Seeing Dr. Lai working slowly, Ung-Bwom urged him to hurry up. Dr. Lai had no choice but to obey Ung-Bwom's order. Ung-Bwom took off Inku's shirt, but he was still wearing his underwear, so Ung-Bwom quickly cut it off with scissors. Suddenly, there was a noise outside. The director had just arrived but accidentally fell down the stairs. At that moment, Inku woke up because the anesthetic had worn off. He signaled Dr. Lai to act. The director rushed up and was immediately stopped by Ung-Bwom. Taking advantage of his distraction, Inku grabbed the baton he had hidden under the bed. The director's eyes widened in surprise. Hai Ung-Bwom immediately realized what was happening and turned around, only to be instantly struck by Inku. Dr. Lai seized the opportunity to rescue Hai Ung-Bwom. Hai Ung-Bwom angrily shouted at his subordinates, "Why aren't you helping me? You're just standing there watching." Hai Ung-Bwom quickly dodged, but Inku wasn't easily deterred. He chased after him and struck Hai Ung-Bwom directly in the leg. Hai Ung-Bwom cried and begged Inku, "I've wasted 15 years of my life chasing after a bastard like you, and now you want to beg for forgiveness?" Inku's eyes were full of anger. The lightning bolt approached, and Ung-Bwom, terrified, recoiled. He tumbled down the stairs, his leg broken, and had to crawl to escape. At this moment, the police arrived. "Officers, please save me," the captain ordered. "Arrest him." Ung-Bwom didn't understand why they were arresting him. "Officer, he hit me." But the captain didn't care. The police handcuffed him and took him to the station. He couldn't continue to evade them. The police also arrested the hospital director because he was the mastermind of the drug trafficking ring. Ung-Bwom was taken back to the hospital in an ambulance. Dr. Lai requested a blood test because he suspected her. He contracted an infection from being injected with an unsterilized needle. He was taken to the police station, but he still resisted, even showing the police evidence that Inku had been imprisoned to poison him. The police had no choice but to handcuff him and call the prison to escort the escaped prisoner. Later, the captain met with Inku, who handed over all the evidence of Hai Ung-Bwom's crimes and the prison director's involvement. However, to prove they had been dealing with each other for 15 years, they needed confirmation that the heart in Hai's body belonged to Inku's father. The most effective solution right now is to conduct a comparative biopsy between Inku and Do-hee. He immediately returned to the hospital with Jin to complete the final verification step. On the way, Jin expressed that she understood Do-hee's situation. She couldn't withstand any more shock. Jin wanted to replace Inku and advised Do-hee to voluntarily undergo the biopsy. However, Inku insisted on pushing things, saying there wasn't much time left. If the hospital director was released, they wouldn't have another chance to catch him. Jin knew Inku wanted to end things quickly, so he tried to appear decisive, but in reality, he didn't want to hurt the people. Inku, outwardly cold but inwardly very warm, was hit where it hurt and immediately agreed to let Jaein help. The two continued back to the hospital. Meanwhile, the hospital director was discussing a plan with the lawyer. However, With all the evidence, the lawyer was at a loss. Now, if there was a DNA comparison between Inku and Jae-in, the director would be imprisoned for life. He had one way to escape punishment. He asked the lawyer to get him out at all costs. Just one day would be enough. This lawyer could help him on the other side. After Dan Hai had just finished his checkup, Dr. Lai received the news that Dan Hai's blood platelet count was extremely low and he needed a transfusion urgently. However, the RHA group in the hospital didn't have enough. Dr. Lai remembered someone he wanted to call, Inku, but hesitated. However, Dan Hai couldn't wait any longer, so Dr. Lai called Inku. Just as he arrived at the hospital, Dr. Lai asked Inku to come to the emergency room. There, he directly begged Inku to give Dan Hai a transfusion to save him. Although he knew Inku hated the hospital director, Dan Hai was a student. Inku, feeling sorry for the innocent girl, agreed. Thanks to Inku's kindness, Don Hai gradually regained consciousness. She looked at the person who had saved her. Don Hai felt ashamed towards Inku. The next day, the lawyer returned to the cell. The chief prosecutor had completed the task he had asked of her, but he still wasn't satisfied and wanted to ask the lawyer for another favor. The chief prosecutor wanted the lawyer to liquidate all his assets, promising to give him 10 pence, enough money for the lawyer to open a law office and escape his salaried life. The lawyer, tempted, agreed. Afterward, the chief prosecutor was taken out of the police station. He immediately got into the car to go find his daughter. At this time, Don Hai had just woken up, and Dr. Lai was taking care of her. Don Hai wondered, "Did you know everything all along?" Dr. Lai replied, "I only found out recently." Don Hai was extremely distressed. Only she didn't understand what was happening. Just then, Jin pushed the door open and came in. She wanted to talk to Don Hai privately. Dr. Lai was worried about her health, but Don Hai gestured, "No, it's all right." He told him to go outside and wait. Dr. Lai had no choice but to comply. Suddenly, he remembered something and immediately ran to the office to find his father. Dr. Lai questioned him, and now his father had realized his mistake. The vice director made a mistake due to his cowardly actions, claiming that if he hadn't done so, he wouldn't have been able to get to this position. The vice director always wanted his son to be respected by others. However, Dr. Lai didn't need everything his father did. "Don't use me as an excuse. That's just your greed," Dr. Lai said. He never once felt proud of his father. In fact, Dr. Lai only needed a word of encouragement. "You did a good job," but the vice director never did. Conversely, Dr. Go, not his biological father, always encouraged Dr. Lai. Hearing this, the vice director was extremely upset. Regretting his actions, he apologized to Dr. Lai's son, giving the deputy director one last chance. "Father, go confess. Be a father so your son won't be ashamed. Be brave and face your mistakes." Dr. Lai left, giving the deputy director time to think. In the patient's room, Hai Diy expressed her last wish. She mentioned Inku, a man who spent 15 years searching for the person who murdered his father. Everyone knew he was a good person. Hai also understood that. Inku wanted Hai Diy's help to regain his original good nature. To do that, Hai Diy himself had to be the one to end everything with his own hands. Punishing her own father was incredibly difficult, but Don Hai couldn't turn a blind eye. She decided to get a biopsy. After the biopsy was done, Don Hai informed Diy and waited for the results. Then she changed her clothes and left the hospital. Unexpectedly, Don Hai received a call from the hospital director. He was waiting for his daughter in the parking garage. Don Hai immediately went to see her father. The director had prepared passports for the two of them to fly abroad. As soon as Don Hai got into the car, the director quickly advised her to consider what had just happened as a dream and go abroad with him. She was utterly devastated after committing so many crimes, yet the director showed no remorse whatsoever. He heartlessly stole the heart of a healthy man, shattering his family. A kind and virtuous doctor, blinded by revenge, made her feel immense pain in her chest. The director still tried to justify everything, saying it was all for his daughter. Why did he continue trading in foreign currency afterward? The director only knew how to use his daughter as an excuse for his greed and cruelty. Without a father like that, she wanted to get out of the car, but the director immediately locked the door. He would take Don Hai to a very distant place to start her life over. Consider the memories of this city as a dream. Don Hai didn't want to. The director still drove away. At this moment, Jay reported to INQ that Don Hai had gone for a biopsy. INQ only needed to come and check, and the truth from 15 years ago would be revealed. INQ immediately stood up and went to the examination room. The female doctor told him that the results would be available by evening. INQ wanted to know first. The female doctor nodded in agreement. Then INQ went to the ward to find Don Hai, but she wasn't there anymore. He called Jay in, but she didn't know either. Both of them immediately ran all over the hospital looking for Donye. Jayin called, but Donye didn't answer because the director had turned off her phone and thrown it in the back seat. The two of them split up to search. Inku went down to the parking garage but couldn't find the director's car. He tried using GPS to check and found it was moving. Inku called the police captain and learned that the director had been released on bail. It seemed Donye had been taken away by the director this morning. Inku immediately called Jayin and asked her to drive. Inku, unexpectedly, received a call from the emergency room reporting a critically ill patient with symptoms of acute kidney failure requiring urgent surgery. Inku suggested calling another surgeon as he had important work to do, but all the surgeons were busy. Then transfer the patient to another hospital, he said, immediately hanging up. This time, he was determined not to let the director get away with it. However, as the ambulance drove outside, Inku saw the patient being loaded into the ambulance to be transferred to another hospital. Inku couldn't control himself. Inku stopped the car and asked the woman to track the location of the hospital director. He decided to save the other patient first, but unexpectedly, that patient was the truck driver who had given him a ride before, and the little girl he had asked the doctor to take. In the hospital room, the truck driver recognized Inku. He showed concern for the little girl who had been with him. Inku assured him she was safe. He began examining the driver and discovered signs of polycystic kidney disease. He requested a CT scan. If the diagnosis was correct, emergency surgery would be necessary. Suddenly, Inku ran away. Upon receiving the notification that the director was on his way home to get money, he was planning to flee abroad. Inku was extremely embarrassed. He called someone at the transplant center and learned that Dr. Lai had just completed a surgery, so he asked them to arrange for him to come. The truck driver still had to wait for the CT scan. Inku still felt uneasy. The driver, seeing his urgency, told Inku to focus on his important work. Inku promised the driver he would be back soon. Then Inku and Jayin set off. In the car, Inku received a call from the hospital. The results were in. The biopsy results showed a 99.99% match, confirming that the heart in the body belonged to Inku's father. He immediately sent the results to the police. With this result in hand, it would be easier to obtain an arrest warrant. Inku informed the team leader that the director was on his way to Inku Port. He might be trying to flee abroad. Inku asked the police for backup. The police immediately set off. At this time, the director was at Inku Port. The lawyer had taken care of all the procedures. Once the ship arrived, the director could leave the country. He got into the car and called his daughter, only to find that the people there were. The director, unconscious, asked his lawyer to find a nearby hospital to take Dan Hai to for emergency treatment. However, as soon as they reached the gate, they were blocked by several police cars. The director tried to maneuver his car, but he was surrounded. The captain issued an arrest warrant, ordering the director to get out of the car and cooperate. He remained seated in the car, making demands of the police. The director wanted the police to take Dan Hai to the hospital, and the captain agreed. The director got out of the car, surrendered with his hands clasped, and continued to plead for his daughter's life. The captain assessed Dan Hai's condition and hurriedly requested an ambulance. Just then, Inku and Jayin arrived. She ran to check Dan Hai's condition and discovered that her heart had stopped beating, but she was still breathing. Inku could only stand there stunned. The hospital director rushed over, begging him to save his daughter. "You're a doctor." Inku approached and examined Dan Hai. He began performing CPR, trying to save her. As he did so, Inku remembered his father. The heart in this body belonged to his father. Inku couldn't let it stop beating. The hospital director, crying and kneeling, he begged Inku to save his daughter. Later, the captain noticed that Dan's hand was moving again. Inku checked her pulse and found it was gradually recovering. At that moment, the ambulance arrived. Inku borrowed a stethoscope to check Dan's heartbeat. Fortunately, her heart was still beating. Inku burst into tears because this heart was proof of his father's existence. He was just living in another person's body. Dan was then taken to the hospital in the ambulance. Inku also helped Inku into the ambulance. The hospital director was also relieved. Heartbroken knowing his daughter was out of danger, he promised to confess all his crimes to the police in the ambulance. Jay called Dr. Lai to inform him about Hai's condition, which made him extremely worried. Jay asked Dr. Lai to arrange for an emergency room and an ambulance to arrive at the hospital. Dr. Lai immediately rushed to do as Jay instructed. Later, Dr. Lai waited for the ambulance in front of the hospital and, along with everyone else, took Hai to the emergency room. After checking, Hai's heart was beating weakly. Dr. Lai requested that she be taken to the operating room first. As he left, he didn't forget to thank Ink for helping Geo Hai overcome the critical situation. Only then did Ink notice the truck driver wasn't in the room. He asked the nurse and learned that the driver had been moved to a regular room. Ink went to talk to the driver, asking if he had told his daughter about his hospitalization. The driver said he hadn't dared tell her yet. Ink began to explain that if the taxi driver didn't let his daughter understand the difficulties and hardships, one day he might pass away. His daughter would regret it for the rest of her life, just like Ink, whose father always pretended everything was fine until he was gone. Inku only just learned of his father's suffering, a feeling he regrets to this day. The truck driver questioned Inku's meaning, asking if his father was about to die. Inku nodded, saying the driver's kidneys were both failing due to his constant night driving and long-distance journeys. No body could withstand it. He needed a kidney transplant. The truck driver understood Inku wanted to call his daughter, but there was another purpose. Inku didn't deny it. He even wanted her to donate a kidney to save her father. The driver objected, but Inku only advised him to think carefully about what he had just said. The truck driver went back to his room to make arrangements. The truck driver left the hospital, but he remembered Inku's words. Did he want his daughter to live in regret for the rest of her life? He decided to call his daughter. As soon as she heard, she realized her father was in trouble. The truck driver still hid the fact he was in the hospital, promising his daughter she could visit him the next day. She happily agreed, saying she missed him too. The truck driver was overjoyed. Meanwhile, the hospital director was taken into the interrogation room. He confessed to all his illegal activities, including the illegal buying and selling of organs, and even the fact that he had framed Dr. Google and the old man for this. If the hospital, the chief didn't confess, and the police couldn't find any evidence, the captain felt very lucky. At this time, Dr. Lai received a letter from the vice director, apologizing to his son for what he had done. Finally, the vice director understood what Dr. Lai wanted and that he could completely accomplish it himself. The vice director felt very proud of Dr. Lai. He decided to turn himself in for concealing the chief's crimes for so many years. Finally, Dr. Lai could be proud of his father for the last time in his life. Dr. Lai went to see his father one last time. Before the vice director got into the car to go to the police station the next day, news about the director's actions was announced. When Do-hee saw it, her heart was filled with mixed feelings of joy and sorrow. Dr. Lai immediately went to turn off Do-hee's TV. She felt guilty towards Inu and Jin and wanted to ask Dr. Lai to call them both to personally apologize. Inu still couldn't accept the truth about her father's death, and she left resentfully, leaving only Inku behind with Do-hee. Actually, he didn't blame Do-hee. Inku still wanted her to live in place of her deceased father. His words were even more hurtful, 1,000 times Jin Inku's guidance. He let the people cry alone, then stood up and left before him. He came to comfort Jin, reminding her that her father had taken care of her and her siblings when she was little. Now, he would replace Dr. Go and protect his daughter. On the other side, the truck driver's daughter came to the hospital to visit her father. Knowing his condition, the girl was extremely saddened. She promised to do everything she could to help her father recover. The driver hugged his daughter, comforting her. At that moment, Inku and Jin arrived. Everyone discussed the kidney transplant. The truck driver disagreed, saying the surgery would leave scars later. It will be difficult to get married. Inku suggested using laparoscopic surgery to minimize the scar. The female student didn't care about the size of the scar. Saving her father was what mattered. Today was the day Hung Buom was taken back to prison. As soon as he left the police station, the journalists surrounded him for interviews. Hung Buom claimed he was poisoned and that's why he escaped. He blamed everything on Inku because of this, and that's why he's involved in the investigation. The captain called to inform Inku that he wanted to meet the captain privately. Inku admitted to poisoning Hai. Hung Buom wanted to confess after everything was over. However, now there was an important surgery. Inku wanted to ask the captain for some time. The captain didn't want to arrest Inku, but he had to obey orders from above. When he got Hung Buom's medical records from the prison along with the order from above, the captain was forced to invite Inku back to the station. Suddenly, it started raining. Inku discovered that his eyesight was no longer the same. Inku informed Dr. Lai about this. He couldn't perform the truck driver surgery and wanted to ask Dr. Lai for help. Currently, Dr. Lai wants both of them to work together. Inku will be the hands and Dr. Lai will be the eyes, compensating for each other's shortcomings. Inku accepts the proposal. Later, Inku receives a call from the head of Department B. He is bringing Hung Buom's medical records to the police station to submit them. He wants to inform Inku so that she can prepare herself. Although the head of Department B is reluctant, he still has to comply with the regulations. Inku is fine. If there is a summons, she will go to the police station to report. The head of Department B hung up and went into the police station to submit the records to the team leader. The rest didn't want to say anything more. He remained silent to protect Inku. However, the police still checked the prescription Inku had written for him Buom, which could cause liver and kidney failure. They immediately went to Sunoon Lim Hospital to arrest him. Meanwhile, Inku was preparing for a kidney transplant surgery for a truck driver. As they brought the patient to the operating room door, the police swooped in, wanting to arrest Inku for violating medical laws. Inku begged the captain to let him operate on the patient, but the captain refused and handcuffed Inku. The driver sat up and demanded, if it's not Inku performing the surgery, his technique wouldn't do anything. Life was the most important thing. The police gave Inku a little more time. The surgery began. The female student's kidney was quickly removed. INQ also proceeded to remove the damaged kidney from the truck driver's body. Suddenly, the truck driver's eyes started having problems. Luckily, Dr. Lai appeared and took INQ's place. Together, they removed the damaged kidney from the body and replaced it with a new kidney. Inku switched places and had the arteries sutured together. Although his vision was fading, he still tried to persevere after being given warm saline solution. Inku, applying the lessons learned from Dr. Go, used his hands to feel the pulse again, and the surgery was successful. All that remained was to stitch up the abdominal cavity. Later, Inku left the operating room and went with the police. A few days later, the trial took place. The hospital director was sentenced to life imprisonment for kidnapping and currency trafficking, and the vice director to 10 years in prison for complicity. Inku, being a first-time offender, received a 3-month suspended sentence and had his medical license revoked. He could return to a normal life. A year later, Inku was learning to drive with Jin when he unexpectedly received a call. According to Dr. Lai, Hung Buom was stabbed in prison. The broker, resentful of being betrayed, wanted to settle the score with Hung Buom. Inku immediately returned to the hospital, but when he arrived, Hung Buom was already dead. Dr. Lai informed Inku of the death date. Seeing his pursuer of 15 years go to hell, Inku felt uneasy. He personally went to the church to beg for Hung Buom's forgiveness. Later, Inku started dating and had a happy time. The film shows us the preciousness of fatherly love along with its two sides.